Yajing rubbed her temples and looked up from the noise in the classroom. Outside the window was a familiar city night scene with twinkling lights on high-rise buildings. She had just stayed up late reviewing math and logic problems in the library, and her head was still buzzing. Suddenly, a dazzling blue light burst out from the phone screen, like a portal in a science fiction movie. She instinctively wanted to turn it off, but she felt her body being pulled by an invisible force and the world began to spin. "Hey, what the hell is this?" she yelled, her voice echoing in her ears. When her vision returned, she was lying on the damp grass, surrounded by dense woods and old wooden houses. The air is filled with the smell of earth and wildflowers, and the sound of roosters and voices can be heard in the distance. This is not her city, this is, where? Yajing got up, wiped the dirt off her body, and looked around. At the entrance of the village, a group of villagers were busy, some carrying farm tools and some leading sheep. She took a deep breath and tried to calm down. Logical thinking is her strong point. She has been playing puzzle games since she was a child, and now she has to improve it step by step. Find someone to ask for directions first. "Miss, are you a foreigner? You look lost." An enthusiastic voice came from the side. Yajing turned her head and saw a young girl wearing coarse clothes with a simple bun on her head and a smile as bright as the spring breeze. Yes, my name is Yajing." "Who is you?" Yajing asked cautiously, still thinking that the buildings in this place looked like the countryside in costume dramas. "I'm Feng, a villager in this village." "Come, I'll take you into the village." The village leader, Uncle Liu Feng, likes to receive guests the most. Feng held her hand and chatted while walking. "We are called Qingye Village, protected by the barrier, and we live peacefully." "Hey, what is your mobile phone?" "What a strange thing." Yajing looked down and saw that the phone was still in her hand, but the screen was black and there was no signal. She smiled awkwardly. "This is my communication tool." "Feng, where is this place? Which province in China?" Feng blinked and smiled even more happily. "China. It sounds like a distant legend. We are in the continent of El, a world of magic and enchantment. You must be from another world, right? There are occasional summons like this in the village. I heard that it is caused by the ancient summoning formation." "Magic? Another world?" Yajing's heart sank. This sounded too ridiculous. But everything around him is so real. The wooden house is covered with vines, and there is a faint blue halo flickering in the air, like a protective shield. She followed Feng into the village square. The villagers looked at her curiously, and some whispered. The village chief Liu Feng is a middle-aged man with a gray beard and sharp eyes. He came up to meet Yajing and patted Yajing on the shoulder. "Welcome, outsider. There is an empty house in the village, you can stay here first. Remember, don't get close to the edge of the barrier, there are monsters there." "What is the barrier?" Yajing couldn't help but ask. Liu Feng sighed. "It's the magic barrier that protects us, passed down from our ancestors. Every dawn, it resets its power. But recently, the monsters have become more and more rampant. Come, Feng, get her familiar with it." Feng nodded and took Yajing to visit the village. On the way, Feng kept talking. "There is a legend in the village that the barrier was built by ancient wizards using magic scrolls to block foreign enemies. But if the barrier is weak, monsters will break in. Hey, Yajing, look at the guard over there, Qin Hao. He patrols every day and always says that he dreams about repeating days." Yajing's mind was spinning as she listened. There was something wrong with the logic of the place, but she decided to observe first. In the afternoon, she helped Feng pick vegetables, and in the evening she participated in a simple dinner in the village. Everyone gathered around the fire, eating toast and wild vegetable soup, and laughing constantly. Yajing gradually relaxed, thinking that this might be a wonderful dream. But late at night, everything changed. Under the moonlight, a low roar came from outside the village. Qin Hao rushed into the square and shouted, "Warcraft! The barrier is broken. Everyone, run!" The villagers were in chaos. Yajing was pulled by Feng to hide in the house, but she heard the sound of tearing. Through the crack in the window, she saw a dark shadow rushing in, a huge wolf-shaped monster with red eyes and claws like scythes. Chen Hao stepped forward with his sword and shouted, "Protect everyone. Yajing, leave quickly." Fighting broke out. Liu Feng summoned a blue light shield, and Feng screamed and threw stones, but there were too many monsters. Yajing's heartbeat was beating like a drum. She grabbed a wooden stick and tried to help, but was knocked down by a monster. Pain hits and the world turns black. The last thing she heard was Feng's cry, "No. It's here again." Then, everything stopped. Dawn breaks, and the first rays of sunlight shine through the windows. Yajing sat up suddenly, sweating profusely. She looked around and saw the wooden house again, with a clean quilt on the bed. Outside, roosters crow and villagers chatter and laugh. It's like nothing happened. Is this a dream? She muttered to herself and rushed out the door. In the square, Feng Zhen walked over with a bucket, his smile still bright. "Good morning, Yajing. Did you sleep well? Come, help me carry some water." Yajing was stunned. Feng's arm was intact, Chen Hao was patrolling in the distance, and Liu Feng was commanding at the entrance of the village. No one mentioned last night's disaster. She grabbed Feng's arm. "Feng, last night, the monsters invaded, are you okay?" Feng tilted her head and smiled in confusion. "Warcraft. I slept well last night. Did you have a nightmare?" "The village is fine and the barrier is stable." Yajing's heart sank. She ran to the village chief, and Liu Feng also looked confused. "Invasion? Girl, what did you say?" "Today is a new day, everything is business as usual." "This is impossible." Yajing returned to the house and took out her mobile phone. Although it was out of battery, she made gestures in the air with her fingers, trying to record. On the first day, she was summoned to the village. At night, the monster came and all the villagers died. It reset to morning. Logically, this is like a time loop. But why is she the only one who remembers? She decided to test it. In the afternoon, she deliberately did not go to help Feng pick vegetables, but went straight to the edge of the barrier. It was a wall of blue light outside the village, with warm tentacles. She tapped it lightly, but there was no response. But as the sun sets, the roar begins again. Warcraft broke in, and this time she was well prepared, hiding behind a tree and witnessing everything. Chen Hao died in battle again, Feng was knocked down, and Liu Feng's shield shattered. The fear of death struck her again, and she screamed and closed her eyes. Dawn comes again. Yajing jumped up from the bed, this time she felt as if her head had been hammered. The memory is blurry, but fragments flash out, bloody claws, Feng's cries. Why reset again? She rushed out the door, and Feng appeared again. "Good morning. You are in good spirits today." "Feng, listen." Yajing grabbed her and spoke quickly. "There is a problem in this village. It resets every day, and the monsters attack. Everyone is dead, but they are alive again in the morning. Don't you remember? The legend of the enchantment, that magic scroll may be the key." Feng's eyes widened and she shook her head. "Yajing, what nonsense are you talking about? Reset? It sounds like a curse in old legends." "But, wait, how do you know about the scroll?" "I only mentioned it casually." Yajing breathed a sigh of relief, at least the clue was there. Although Feng didn't believe it, a trace of hesitation flashed in his eyes. The old man in the village said that the weakness of the barrier is hidden in the puzzle of the ancient temple. The scroll fragments are scattered everywhere and can strengthen it. But who believes it? It's the same every day, who remembers it? It's different. Yajing insisted. "I remember. Help me, Feng. We have to investigate." Feng hesitated and bit her lip. "Okay, let's start with the old tree at the entrance of the village. There are carvings there, which are said to be clues." "But Yajing, are you sure you're not crazy?" Yajing nodded, determination rising in her heart. Logic told her that this was not a dream, but a real cycle. She must solve the mystery or be trapped in this reincarnation forever. In the afternoon, they sneaked under the old tree at the entrance of the village. There are vague runes carved into the bark of the tree, like a puzzle. Yajing squatted down and her mind was racing. This rune is like a mathematical equation. If it is magic, it is equal to the energy cycle of the barrier. Look, there are 3 traces here, she pointed, maybe they represent 3 fragments. Feng, do you know where the ancient temple is? Feng whispered, it's outside the barrier, but it's dangerous. The monsters are patrolling. The setting sun lengthened its shadow, and a distant roar could be heard faintly. Yajing clenched her fists, she would not sit still and wait for death this time. Although the memory is faint, the vague fragments are like fire, igniting her curiosity. She can definitely break this curse. Night falls, and the shadow of the monster approaches again. But this time, Yajing's eyes sparkled. She pulled Feng and hid in the dark, hearing Qinhao's shout, "Alert! They are coming!" The fear of reset is still there, but the fire of awakening has been lit. She has to be faster and smarter. Qinhao's shouts echoed in the night, cutting through the tranquility of the village like a sharp sword. "Alert! They are coming! Everyone stay back!" Yajing's heart was pounding. She held Feng's hand tightly, and the 2 of them squatted in the shadow behind the old tree. In the distance, the blue barrier light wall flickered, like a breathless candle. The roar of the monster was getting closer and closer, the ground shook slightly, and a fishy smell filled the air. "Yajing, we have to run." Feng gasped in a low voice, her face as pale as paper. She tugged on Yajing's sleeve and wanted to retreat to the village, but Yajing shook her head and stared at the edge of the barrier. "No, let's see clearly first. I have to remember the weak points this time." Her mind was racing, and the clips from last night were still flashing through her mind. Monsters always came out of the woods to the east, where the blue light was the dimmest. Logically, this is not random, there must be a pattern. Suddenly, a black shadow jumped over the wall of light and headed towards Qinhao. He swung his sword to block, tensed his muscles, and shouted, "Damn beast! Get back!" The sword flashed and cut off the claws of a monster, but more black shadows came and drowned him like a tide. Qinhao's screams were ear-piercing, and blood spattered on the grass. Yajing gritted her teeth and resisted the urge to rush forward. She saw Liu Feng rushing out from the village entrance, summoning a blue shield with both hands, trying to block the aftermath, but the monster had broken into the square, and the villagers screamed. Feng's tears fell, "Brother Qinhao, no." She wanted to rush out, but Yajing hugged her tightly, "Don't move. We have to survive to break this damn thing." But the eyes of the monster were locked on them, and its red gaze was like a will-o'-the-wisp. Yajing pushed Feng away, grabbed a stone on the ground and threw it at her, but she only got a low roar in return. The sharp claws swung out, the pain was like fire, and her world fell into darkness again. At dawn, the first ray of sunlight shines into the wooden house. Yajing sat up suddenly, her clothes soaked with sweat. Is this the 3rd time? No, the 4th time. Memories were like pieces of a puzzle, gradually coming together. With each reset, she remembered it more and more clearly. Qinhao's sacrifice, Feng's tears, and the bleak east side of the barrier. This isn't a dream, it's a damn cycle. She took a deep breath and murmured, "Okay, get used to it. From today on, I'm not just a victim, I have to take the initiative." She rushed out the door, and Feng appeared at the entrance of the village again, carrying a bucket and smiling as always. "Good morning, Yajing. I see you are in good spirits today. Did you sleep well last night? Come on, help me carry water to the river." Yajing didn't rush to reply, but looked directly into Feng's eyes. "Feng, listen. The Warcraft came again last night, and Qinhao, he disappeared again. But you don't remember, right? This is a cycle, reset every day, and only I still remember the fragments." Feng's bucket almost fell to the ground. She blinked and hesitated. "Yajing, are you talking about this again? It sounds like a ghost story in the village. But, why do I always feel so worried? It feels like I have lost something. She rubbed her temples, a trace of confusion flashed in her eyes. Because it's true. Yajing pulled her towards the village square. We have to find the village chief Liu Feng. He knows about the barrier and may have clues. Don't hesitate, Feng, this time we will investigate systematically and no more random collisions. In the square, Liu Feng was instructing the villagers to repair the fence. He turned around and saw Yajing, frowned and said, "Girl, morning. You look bad. Are you having nightmares again?" The village is peaceful. Yajing didn't talk nonsense and went straight to the topic. Village chief, it's about the enchantment. Why is that area to the east always dim? Warcraft always breaks in from there. I've seen it a few times. Liu Feng's eyes flashed. He put down the tools in his hands, pulled Yajing and Feng to the old well aside, and whispered, "How do you know the east side?" "That is the weakness of the barrier, passed down from ancestors. Come, sit down, I will tell you the ancient legend. Don't let other people hear it, so as not to panic." The three of them sat down around the edge of the well. Liu Feng's voice was as mellow as old wine, with a hint of country flavor. When Qingye village was built, the ancient mage used magic scrolls to build a barrier to block the tide of monsters in the L continent. The scroll was not integrated, and was divided into fragments and hidden in the village and the ancient temple. According to legend, the barrier was like a large reservoir, and the energy had to be reset every day to stabilize it. But if there is an imbalance, for example, the energy source in the east is blocked by something, the monsters will take advantage of the loophole. Out of balance? Yajing asked, her mind seemed to be enlightened. What about the time loop? Why is the village reset every day and everyone has forgotten it? Liu Feng sighed, his eyes drifting into the distance. That's a side effect of the curse. The ancestors said that the imbalance of the barrier will attract the shadow of reincarnation, which will make time stuck before dawn, reset everything, and protect the villagers from being swallowed up by monsters forever. But only the awakened ones remember it, outsiders like you, or a few people in the village. Feng, your mother has mentioned similar dreams before, right? Feng nodded, her voice trembling. Yes, she said before she left that the village was like being trapped in a teapot, boiling a pot of water every day but never opening the lid. But I thought that was just to coax the children. Yajing's heart beat faster. This logic made sense. The loop is a self-protection mechanism for the barrier, but if its weaknesses are not repaired, it will be stuck forever. She patted Feng on the shoulder and said, "Village chief, thank you. This legend is a clue. We have to investigate the eastern boundary to find the cause of the imbalance." Liu Feng hesitated for a moment, nodded and said, "Okay, but be careful. Chen Hao will patrol there. He is a strong man in the village and has first-class swordsmanship. Yajing, you girl has a bright mind, like a scholar in the city. Take Feng with you, but don't show off." Yajing smiled and said, "Don't worry, I have a solution." She found an old piece of cloth and charcoal from the house, the village's recording tools, and started to draw a map. With modern thinking coming online, she drew the village into a simple grid, the square in the middle, the woods to the east marking weak points, and the old tree runes as arrows pointing to the ancient temple. Feng came over and said in surprise, "Wow, this painting looks like fish scales in the river, one by one." "Yajing, where did you learn this?" "A little trick from another world." Yajing blinked, "This way we won't repeat the same mistake. Next time the monsters come, I know where to go." "Come on, Feng, mark the location of the fragments in the legend." The two chatted while drawing, and Feng pointed to the map and said, "There are notches on the old tree, like a lock. The ancient temple is deep in the east forest, but it has to go through the Warcraft zone." In the afternoon, they set out to investigate. Chen Hao was patrolling at the entrance of the village. When he saw them, he grinned and said, "You two girls, going to the east? Be careful, I will escort you. The barrier has been weird recently, and the blue light keeps flashing. Yajing nodded, feeling warm in her heart. This big man rushed forward every time, and the look in his eyes when he was sacrificed made her couldn't help but think, she can't let his death be in vain again. The three of them walked along the path into the forest. The air was getting colder and the wall of blue light was close in front of them. Yajing reached out and touched it, and felt a pulse, like a heartbeat, but the east part was as weak as a thin line. Look, here. Yajing pointed to a crack, and the blue light was intermittent. It's not broken, but the energy is uneven. It's like the wires are aging, what Liu Feng said is imbalanced. Chen Hao squatted down to check, frowning, and said, yes, monsters always smell it from here. Girl, you have sharp eyesight. Maybe you need to find scroll fragments to make up for it. Feng added, according to legend, the first fragment is hidden under a stone tablet in the forest, and you have to solve a puzzle to dig it out. There are runes on the stone tablet, like the map you drew. Yajing's intuition for solving puzzles kicked in. She squatted down and her mind was spinning, runes are like logic gates. If this one is, and, that one is, or. Try turning this stone clockwise. She directed Chen Hao, and the stone slowly moved away, revealing a small glowing fragment, and the blue light shot straight into the barrier. It's done. Feng shouted excitedly. But at this moment, a roar sounded in the distance. The setting sun lengthens the shadow, and the monster arrives earlier than before, as if attracted by the light of the fragments. Damn it, they move when they hear the wind. Chen Hao drew his sword and stood in front of him, you guys retreat quickly. Yajing, remember this position, we will continue next time. Yajing wanted to help, but Chen Hao pushed her away, obey. It's my job to protect the village. He rushed towards the black shadow, his sword flashing like lightning, killing two of them, but the third one rushed at him and tore his chest with its claws. Blood mist filled the air, and when Chen Hao fell down, he shouted, run, Yajing, don't stop. Yajing's eyes were wet, this time she saw his sacrifice with her own eyes. Those conscientious eyes were like a brother from her hometown, always protecting her. Fear and anger intertwined, she pulled Feng and ran back to the village, but the monster had caught up. Darkness engulfs everything again. Dawn, reset. Yajing sat up, not panicking this time. She pulled out a hand-drawn map, the location of the fragments marked. Chen Hao's death was like a fire, burning away her passivity. She murmured, thank you, Chen Hao. Next time, I won't let you waste your efforts. She rushed out the door and went straight to Liu Feng, village chief, we have to speed up. The weak spot in the east is confirmed, and the fragment is the key. But I need more allies. I heard that there is a female mage in the village, named Yushi. Liu Feng nodded with complicated eyes, Yushi. She lives in seclusion at the end of the village and is proficient in scrolls. But she has her own secrets. Go, Yajing. Your energy reminds me of the awakened ones of my ancestors. Yajing held the map tightly, and the fire in her heart surged higher. The cycle is still there, but she is no longer the lost girl. She is a puzzle solver, a hunter of logic. Donglin's puzzle is waiting for her to solve. The sun shines on the stone path at the end of the village. Yajing takes firm steps, bypassing several low thatched huts, and goes straight to the small wooden house hidden behind the vines. Liu Feng's words were still echoing in her ears, Yushi, that girl, is as lonely as a fox fairy in the mountains, but she understands scrolls better than anyone else. Yajing held a homemade map tightly in her hand, and the fragments of the forest to the east were marked, but she knew that she couldn't do it alone and had to find an expert. The pressure of the circle was like a stone pressing on her chest, but she was not panicking now, she had to be worthy of Chen Hao's sacrifice in exchange for this little progress. In front of the wooden house, a bush of wild flowers swayed, and a faint blue light came from the crack in the door. Yajing knocked on the door and said in a clear voice, is there anyone here? I'm Yajing, introduced by village chief Liu Feng. I heard that you know about magic scrolls. The door creaked open, revealing a pale but delicate face. Yushi was wearing a gray-blue robe, her long silver hair was disheveled, and her eyes were as quiet as a deep pool. She glanced at Yajing without smiling, and her voice was as calm as water. Outsiders. The village chief has a good taste. Come in, but don't touch my things. She turned and walked into the house, leaving Yajing stunned. This woman's aura is very much like that of a librarian in a library, yet she hides her story even though she is far away from others. The room is simple, with a wooden table piled with yellowing parchment and sparkling crystals. The air is filled with the scent of ink and herbs. Yajing sat down and handed over the map. Our village is trapped in a time loop, reset every day. Only I remember the fragments. I found a fragment of the weak point in the eastern barrier, but the monster came too fast. Liu Feng said, "You are an awakened person, can you help identify the runes?" Yushi took the map, frowned slightly, and touched the rune lines lightly with her fingertips. Her eyes lit up, as if she had caught something. This is not a random drawing, it is a logic diagram. Interesting. You are not a local and your mind works very fast. She paused and sighed. Yes, I remember the loop. Not all of it, but there are enough fragments. When I reset it for the first time, I was in the ancient temple, and the monster tore the barrier apart. I used the scroll to block it, and when I woke up, everything was as new. But since then, I began to pay attention to the runes, the ancient symbols hidden in the village, which can awaken the scroll fragments. Yajing's heartbeat quickened. This was the first clear ally, not a passive villager. Are you awakened too? That's great. How can you identify the runes? There are them on the stone tablet in Donglin. I turned the stone and dug out the fragments, but the light attracted the monsters. Maybe there is a better way. Yushi stood up and took down a small crystal mirror from the shelf. The mirror was engraved with tiny symbols. The runes are like a puzzle, and each line represents the flow of energy. The hidden runes in the village are scattered around old trees, wells, and at the entrance of ancient temples. They are interconnected, like a village girls' gossip network. If one line is broken, the entire network is chaotic. Come, follow me. Start with the well in the village square. The runes there are the most basic and can unlock the first puzzle and point to the hiding place of the fragments. The two walked out of the house, and the sunlight lengthened the shadows. Yajing asked as she walked, "Why are you living in seclusion?" Liu Feng said, "You have secrets. Are you afraid of being reincarnated?" Yushi glanced at her and raised the corner of her mouth slightly, a little self-deprecating. Afraid? Who is not afraid? The secret is that my ancestor was the guardian of the scroll, but something happened to the previous generation, and the curse deepened. I tried to work alone, but lost the memory fragment during the reset. Now, I wait for a fool like you to knock on the door. Her words were down to earth, and Yajing couldn't help but laugh. Idiot. Thanks, is this a compliment? At least I have intuition, and you have knowledge, so it's not a bad partner. In the square, Liu Feng was chatting with Feng. When he saw them, his eyes lit up. Yushi, are you finally out? This girl is right, we have to join forces. Come, let me tell you the history of the village to support you. He pulled everyone to the well and said in a low voice, ancestors recorded that the barrier of Qingye village originated from 3 scroll fragments. The first one is hidden in the stone monument in the forest, the second one is in the altar of the ancient temple, and the third one, under the old tree in the center of the village. But it depends on the sequence of runes, like a key to unlocking the door. The weakness on the east side is because the energy of the first piece leaked, and the monster smelled it. Feng came over and clapped her hands excitedly. Yes. According to folklore, the first fragment is like a sapphire, which can replenish energy. But you have to solve the puzzle, turn the rune beside the well 3 times, connect it to the arrow of the old tree, and then aim it at the Donglin stone tablet. It sounds like a child's game, but my mother said that if you make a wrong step, the rune will backfire and attract monsters. Yajing nodded, logic running in her mind, the causal chain, the well talisman started, the old tree conducted transmission, and the stone tablet unlocked. Simple. Yushi, can your crystal mirror verify it? Yushi squatted down and pointed the crystal mirror at the hidden notch on the edge of the well, a circle of thin lines wrapped around like a vine. She whispered a spell, the mirror flashed, and the runes glowed blue. Look, this is the source talisman. Turn it 3 times to activate it. She demonstrated, twirling her fingers lightly, ripples in the well water spread out, and a ray of light shot towards the old tree in the square. Under the old tree, the bark cracked, revealing arrow runes, pointing to the east forest. Yajing's intuition struck, it's connected. This is like a circuit, the energy flows from the well to the tree, and then to the stone monument. She pulled Feng, do you remember the legendary order? Turn the tree arrow and aim it at the forest. Feng hesitated for a moment, then nodded, yes, 2.5 turns clockwise, like twisting a twist. She started, the arrow rotated, the light extended, and the direction of Donglin was faintly shining. Liu Feng clapped his hands, it's done. This is the first time that the runes are connected. The position of the fragments is stable, and they will no longer dodge and attract the beast. Yushi put away the crystal, and her eyes softened a little, you guys are good. Yajing, your intuition makes up for my blind spot, I always get stuck in the details of magic and ignore the logical chain. Feng's legend is the key, and Liu Feng's history is solid. We are a team. Yajing felt warm in her heart. This felt like a group project in her hometown, from working alone to sharing it with everyone. She smiled, okay, partners. Go to Donglin to get the fragments, but keep a low profile. Chenhao died last time because the light was too bright. This time, we will take a detour and avoid the main road. In the afternoon, the 4 of them set off. Chenhao didn't follow this time. After the reset, he was still patrolling the other end, but Yajing silently said to herself, I'll save you next time. In the forest, the air is humid, and the blue barrier pulses like breathing. Yushi led the way, holding a crystal mirror to scan, the rune connection is stable, the stone tablet will not flash. Yajing, your map is accurate, turn left 50 steps. Feng shared in a low voice, according to legend, after the fragments are untied, they will hum, like wind chimes. When you touch it, you have to recite balance the east source silently, otherwise the energy will rebound. Liu Feng added to the history, according to the ancestors, this fragment can repair the weak point on the east side and block small-scale attacks. But the big tide requires 3 pieces to be collected. The stone tablet is in sight, and the runes are illuminated. Yajing squatted down and turned the stone according to her previous experience, but this time she added Yushi's guidance, turn it gently, with the incantation, origin returns to the east. The stone slid open, sapphire fragments emerged, and a low moan sounded, like the willows blowing in the mountain breeze. Yajing stretched out her hand, silently thinking about balancing Dongyuan, the fragments warmed into her palms, and the blue light on the east side of the barrier suddenly became much more stable. Got it. Feng whispered, her eyes shining. Yajing handed the fragment to Yushi, keep it, you understand the scroll. It feels like, we are making progress. Yushi nodded and gave a rare smile, yes. Your trust reminds me of what it's like to be a team. In the past, I always missed details when I was alone. But the joy did not last. The branches and leaves in the forest swayed, and a low roar came out, 3 little monsters rushed out, not a big wave, but their claws were sharp, and their eyes locked on the afterglow of the light. They flanked me from the sides, like wolves smelling blood. Damn, small-scale attack. The barrier is stable, but they are still wandering around the edge. Liu Feng summoned a shield, and blue light covered everyone, stand back, I will block it. Yajing's mind was racing, you can't fight hard, that's what Chenhao was like last time. No, go around. Yushi, use a crystal mirror to block the light. Feng, does the legend have a weakness? Warcraft is afraid of blue light shining directly into its eyes. Feng said anxiously, yes. There is an old legend that animal eyes are afraid of light, just like cats afraid of flashes. Yushi reacted quickly and turned the crystal mirror, refracting the light from the fragments and shining directly into the eyes of the monster. They howled and retreated, clawing at the tree trunks. Yajing pulled Liu Feng, village chief, pushed the shield to the left, let's dodge to the right. Liu Feng pushed the shield, and everyone rushed out sideways. The monster hit the tree and became dizzy. As I ran back to the village entrance, the roar faded away. Yajing panted and leaned against the tree, the fragments pulsing in Yushi's hands. Avoided, thanks to everyone. I would have died a long time ago just by myself. Liu Feng patted her on the shoulder, girl, you have grown up quickly. From a confused outsider to a puzzle solver leading the team. Feng hugged Yajing, yes. We are like a family, we stick together and no one can get rid of us. Yushi put away the fragments and looked deeper, I got the first piece. Next step, the second piece of the ancient temple. But the runes there are complicated, so you have to go at night to avoid the tide. Yajing, are you ready to dig into my secrets? Yajing nodded, her heart burning brightly. Trust is not empty talk, she is no longer a lone wolf, but the head of the team. The circle is still stuck, but with the fragments in hand, they will be one step closer at dawn. The wind blows in the forest, and the blue light flashes steadily, as if to say, go on, girl. As night falls, the lights in the village are like dots of fluorescent lights, reflecting the steady blue light of the eastern boundary. Yajing leaned against the door of the wooden house, looking in the direction of the forest. The joy in her heart had not faded, but exhaustion was coming like a tide. The first fragment was held in Yushi's hand, and its warm touch seemed to remind her, this was not a dream, the progress was real. But the shadow of reincarnation still shrouded her, and every time the bell rang faintly, she couldn't help but wonder, when will this reincarnation end? She took a deep breath and opened the door. Inside, Yushi was studying the fragments at his desk. There were a few sketches scattered next to the crystal mirror. Still not sleeping. Tomorrow we have to get Chen Hao and Feng involved in the ancient temple. Their experience is the key. Yajing said, sitting down at the table and rubbing her temples. The previous escape made her realize that intuition alone was not enough. The tacit understanding of the team made everything go smoothly. Yushi raised her head, her silver hair flickering in the candlelight. She nodded, her voice soft but firm, well, the ancient temple is the oldest ruins in the village, and the runes are 10 times more complicated than those at the well. Like a lock in a maze, you have to try it step by step. Chen Hao's patrol path can avoid traps, and Feng's legend can point the way. But you, look exhausted. Circles and bites people, right? Yajing smiled bitterly and stared at the shadow on the ground, yes. Every time I reset, I feel like sand in an hourglass. The less sand leaks out, the less it leaks. I feel like I have won when I get the pieces today, but what about tomorrow? What if I am stuck here forever? My parents in my hometown and my school homework have all forgotten. Her voice lowered, and for the first time she revealed the weakness in her heart. From an outsider to a leader, she has grown up, but the pressure has also piled up. Yushi's hands stopped, rarely stretched out, and patted her shoulder. There was a dimness in her eyes, like ripples of memory. I understand. That year, when my grandfather taught me the scroll, the village was not so chaotic. He said that magic is not to escape, but to face. But when the curse came, I saw with my own eyes that he used the last fragment to block the monster, and when he woke up, he reset to a stranger. I tried to solve it alone, the result was that it was stuck at the door of the ancient temple, and the pain was like fire. From then on, I hid, not wanting to see anyone disappear. But you were different. The day you knocked on the door, I saw the fire in your eyes. Keep at it, we can break it. Yajing was stunned for a moment. This was the first time Yushi had shared the past, like a crack in the ice. She nodded, and the doubts in her heart faded a little, thank you. Your story makes me feel not alone. Okay, let's meet early tomorrow morning. In the early morning of the next day, as fog shrouded the village, Yajing summoned everyone. Liu Feng stayed in the village to stabilize the overall situation. Chen Hao was wearing leather armor, with a sword on his waist, and his usual vigilance on his face. Heard about the ancient temple? I've been to that place several times. There is a hidden stone thorn trap at the door. If you step on it wrongly, it will penetrate your heart. Follow me and walk around. He patted Yajing on the back, his voice rough but reliable. Last time, Lindsay, you saved us, this time I return the favor. Feng was carrying a small bag, filled with dry food and the legend notes she had copied, and she was as excited as if she was going on an outing. There are many legends about the ancient temple. There are 3 rune doors in it. The first one is the corridor of shadows, which must be solved by misalignment of light and shadow. If you make a mistake, the shadow will come alive and pull you into the wall. The second one is the bridge of balance. If you step on the wrong side, the bridge will collapse. The third one contains fragments, so you have to recite the right spell. She blinked. My mother heard from my grandfather when she was a child that the key to solving the puzzle is endless circulation, return to the source. It sounds mysterious, but the logic is in it. Yushi took the lead, holding the first fragment and the crystal mirror in his hand, the blue light pulsating slightly. Feng's legend is a clue, we use logic to verify it. Yajing, your intuition leads the way. The 5 members of the team, Yajing, Yushi, Chen Hao, Feng, watched by Liu Feng, followed the path behind the village and sneaked into the direction of the ancient temple. When passing by the old tree, the runes were still glowing, and the eastern boundary was as stable as a rock, no longer leaking from the wind. The ancient temple is hidden in a mountain col, with vines wrapped around the ruins. The air is filled with the smell of stale magic, like old books mixed with soil. There was a huge stone blocking the way at the door, engraved with intertwined runes and faintly humming. Chen Hao stepped forward, squatted down, and groped the ground. Look, there is a loose slate here. I stepped on it once during patrol and almost got hit. Go around to the left and step on the tree roots to gain strength. He demonstrated, with steady steps, leading everyone to turn over sideways and avoid the hidden spike pit. After entering the door, darkness swallowed up the sight, leaving only the blue light of the crystal mirror. The first door was 10 steps away, with runes twisting like snakes on one wall. Yajing came closer, thinking logically, corridor of shadows? Feng said that light and shadow are misaligned. These runes have 2 sides, yin and yang. The black ones represent shadows, and the white ones represent light. They must be matched and connected. Yushi nodded and raised the crystal mirror to scan. Yes, the first fragment can provide energy, but you have to trial and error. Try the first one, the clockwise continuous shadow talisman. She whispered a spell, the fragments flashed, and the black line on the wall lit up, connecting to the white line. But suddenly, a shadow stretched out from the wall, like a black hand grabbing it. Chen Hao's sword flashed and cut off one of the sticks. Damn it! If it's the other way around, the shadow will be alive. Stop. Try going counterclockwise. Yajing said anxiously, her heart beating faster. This is not a game. If you make one wrong move, the team will break up. She grabbed Feng. Is there any hint in the legend? The cycle is endless. Maybe the shadow chases the light, and the light must lead the shadow. Feng flipped through her notes and her eyes lit up. Yes. Grandpa said, light moves forward, shadow follows, reverse connection. Yushi adjusted and turned counterclockwise, the light guided the black shadow, the wall door slowly opened, and the shadow retreated into the wall. Yajing breathed a sigh of relief. It's done. If you try and make mistakes as a team, you will die long ago if you work alone. Going deeper into the corridor, the air is even colder. The second door is a stone bridge, spanning the abyss. The runes on the bridge are divided into left and right, half black and half. Chen Hao frowned. I've heard of this bridge, and it has collapsed before. The black symbol on the left is stable, and the white symbol on the right is fragile. Patrol experience, focus on the black side, and walk across slowly. But Yajing shook her head and her intuition struck. The bridge of balance must be even. Feng, where is the legend? Feng whispered, stepping on black and white alternately, like a hopscotch game, but in the wrong order. The bridge is tilted. The order is to return to the source, starting from the source symbol, black and white, cycle. They tried it, and Yajing took the lead in the first round, alternating between black and white, and the bridge was stable. But in the middle of the journey, Feng stepped on it wrongly, causing the bridge to sway and cracks appeared. Chen Hao shouted, "Back off. Come back again, I'll press the tail for safety." He held the edge with his sword to stabilize the team. In the second round, Yajing memorizes the sequence, repeats silently, and leads everyone across the bridge. Behind the bridge, a door of light flashed, and a third rune niche emerged, as complex as a spider web. The last level. Yushi gasped, and the fragmentary light was already weak. This rune is the core puzzle, nested in 3 layers. The outer layer is connected, the middle is balanced, and the core is awakened. There is limited trial and error, and the energy is only enough for 2 times. Yajing stared at the wall. The runes were like mathematical formulas, 12 lines on the outer circle, 8 on the inner circle, and 4 in the middle. Logical chain, external connection to the source, continuation from the well to the tree. Internal balance, like a bridge. The core is unified, all connected. She gestured with her fingers. The first try, connect the outer circle smoothly, reverse internally, and center. But the wall shook, the red light came back, and the heat wave hit his face. Chen Hao blocked it with his shield. "It hurts." Wrong, the energy rebounded. Yajing gritted her teeth and doubts came to her. This cycle is endless, how about trial and error until death? But Yushi's words echoed, and she took a deep breath. "No, do it again." "Feng, what is the full sentence of the legend?" Feng thought anxiously. The cycle is endless, and the source is unified. Maybe it is completely reversed, externally rebellious, internally smooth, and middle reversal, like the reversal of a circle. In the second trial, Yajing took the lead, Yushi provided energy, Chen Hao guarded the side, and Feng silently cursed. The outer circle is connected in reverse, the inner circle is smooth, and the middle circle is reversed. With a click, the runes all light up, the niche opens, and the second fragment emerges, with silver blue light like the moonlight, whispering, reunification. Yajing stretched out her hand, put the warmth into her palms, silently recited the source of balance, and the fragments pulsed and merged into the first piece. "I got it." Feng hugged Yajing, and Chen Hao laughed loudly. "Girl, your brain is a treasure. If you relied on me alone, I would have smashed the bridge." Yushi put away the fragments with warm eyes. "Your growth has made me trust the team. I used to be alone and always stuck on the puzzle. Now, let's make up for it." But the joy is short-lived. A low roar sounded outside the temple, a swarm of monsters came in, a medium-sized invasion, and their minions reflected the setting sun. Yajing thought, strengthen the barrier. Yushi used 2 fragments to cast it to delay them. Yushi nodded, stood on the high platform, murmured a spell, the fragments merged into one, and blue and silver light burst out, shooting towards the village barrier. The blue light flourished in the middle, and the barrier expanded like a shield. The monsters ran into it, howling and retreating. The invasion was delayed, and the village was temporarily safe. As she ran back to the village, the conflict in Yajing's heart was somewhat relieved. She went from questioning to persevering, relying on allies like arms. Liu Feng came forward and clapped his hands. "It's done. The middle edge is stable, and the tide still needs a third piece. But you are like a family, sticking together." Chen Hao wiped his sweat. "Next time I patrol, I will keep an eye on the weak points in the west." "Yajing, thank you for your protection." Feng blinked. "Legend says that the third piece is under the old tree, but it is hidden deep enough that you have to explore it at night. Are you ready?" Yushi glanced at Yajing and smiled. "She's ready." "We are all." The wind blew up, the barrier light stabilized, Yajing nodded, her heart aflame. The third piece, just wait. The afterglow of the setting sun shone at the entrance of the village, and the blue light in the middle of the barrier was like a solid barrier. The roar of the monsters gradually faded away, and the air in the village finally relaxed a little. Yajing wiped the sweat from her forehead, her footsteps still smelled like the dust of the ancient temple. She turned to look at Yushi. The silver-haired girl put away her crystal glass, with a rare smile on her face. Together these two pieces, the barrier has been stable for at least 3 days. But before the tide comes, we have to find the third piece quickly. Under the old tree, Feng's legend is true. Liu Feng walked out of the village chief's house, holding a bowl of hot wheat porridge in his hand, and the wrinkles on his face relaxed a bit. You are back. There is no air leakage in the middle. The villagers were celebrating just now, saying that the blue light in the east is as bright as a holiday lantern. Yajing, come in and sit down and chat while drinking. He called everyone into the house, followed by Qinhao and Feng. A simple dinner of stewed rabbit meat and wild fruits was set on the wooden table in the room. The aroma was fragrant and made Yajing's stomach growl. Yajing sat down and took the bowl, the heat warming her palms. She took a sip. The rice grains in the porridge were soft and glutinous, with the unique herbal flavor of the village. Village Chief Liu, is this enhancement temporary? The energy of the fragments is limited, and I feel that the barrier is still trembling slightly, like a taut bowstring. Where is the weakness? When patrolling the west, Qinhao mentioned that there are always cracks there. Liu Feng nodded, sat down at the main seat, and stared at the map on the table with narrowed eyes. It was drawn by Yajing in previous reincarnations. The lines were crooked but precise. Smart girl, you are right. The first fragment, no, now the two pieces are combined to repair the east center, but the west side is the old weakness. According to the village history, when the ancestors built the barrier, there was a hidden spring in Zelinzi, and the magic power leaked, always attracting small groups of monsters. This alone cannot withstand the tide. 3 pieces, or even more, must be collected to seal them all. Yushi, is there a record in your scroll book? Yushi stood against the wall, tapping the crystal mirror with her fingers, her voice as calm as a stream. The book says that the ultimate scroll requires 5 fragments, originating from the ancient sacred tree. But only 3 fragments are left scattered in the village, and the rest are hidden deep in the curse. The third fragment is in the forbidden area outside the village, under the roots of the old tree, but it is not simple there. The time loop is the most chaotic, the memory will be blurred, and even I got lost last time I tried. She glanced at Yajing, with a worried look in her eyes. You wake up quickly, but the forbidden area is like a fog, old things will replay, and people will question themselves. Qinhao chewed meat, put his sword on his knees, and said roughly, I have patrolled the forbidden area countless times. The forest in the west is deep, and the tree roots are like nets, hiding grottos. But every time I go in, the monsters come out of the soil and bite me. I have sacrificed 5 or 6 times, right? When I wake up, I always remember the pain and your shouts. Yajing, you saved me from the ancient temple last time. This time I will lead the way and optimize the route, go around the spring and avoid the thorns. Yajing's heart sank as she listened. Sacrifice? Fragments from the previous rounds flashed through her mind. Qinhao fell in a pool of blood, his sword broken, his eyes still staring at her, as if saying, hold on. She gripped the bowl tightly and said in a steady voice, thank you, Qinhao. No one can handle the team's affairs alone. Although the cycle is reset, memory is a weapon. I will remember your path and optimize the strategy. Next time, I won't let you fail again. Feng was gnawing on the fruit, juice dripping from her chin. She wiped her mouth and excitedly added, yes. According to legend, the old tree in the forbidden area is where the fragments of the sacred tree fell, and the third piece is hidden in the maze of roots. But there is something hidden, my mother heard from the village elders when she was a child, speaking of which, instead of going straight to the root of the tree, you have to go through the echoing spring. The spring water will replay it and confuse people. The solution is to listen to the echo and respond in reverse, like singing a folk song. If it's wrong, the spring will rise and the road will be flooded. Liu Feng rubbed his beard and nodded. There is always a way to Feng's legend. Yajing, you take the lead, we believe in you. But remember, when setbacks come, don't bear it forcefully. The village is waiting for you to be safe. At night, Yajing lay on the straw mat, staring at the wooden beams on the roof, her mind spinning. The two fragments made the barrier breathe, but the ringing bell was faint, and she felt that time was leaking faster like an hourglass. Growth? She changed from a confused girl to a puzzle solver, but the forbidden area sounds like a trap. What if it fails and the team breaks up? She turned over, closed her eyes and recited silently, logic step by step, memory optimization, don't repeat it again. Early the next morning, the fog was as thick as gauze, and the 4 members of the team, Yajing, Yushi, Chenhao, and Feng, set off to the west. Liu Feng waved at the entrance of the village, be careful with the spring. Come back for tea. The path was familiar, and Chenhao took the lead, stepping on fallen leaves and avoiding low thorns. Remember, this is where I sacrificed my life last time. The monster pounced from behind the tree. Optimization, I'll explore first, and you can follow 3 steps away. The entrance to the forbidden area is a cliff, with vines hanging down like curtains. The air is damp and cold, with the smell of earth and old magic. Chenhao used his sword to cut the road, and everyone slid down the cliff, stepping on the soft soil. In front of them, an old tree stood tall, with roots like a giant python coiled around it, and its trunks were carved with light runes. Yajing took a deep breath. Feng, the legend begins with the spring. Where? Feng points to a clear spring on the left. The stones beside the spring are smooth and the water surface is like a mirror. Here. Echo spring. Listen, the wind blows the leaves, as if they are whispering. Sure enough, the spring water rippled and made vague sounds, shouts of death, cries of pain, and bells. Yajing came closer, and a picture was reflected in the water. In the previous reincarnation, Chenhao fought against the monster, the sword flashed, but his chest was torn open by claws, and blood splashed on the edge of the spring. When he fell, he shouted, Yajing, run. Chenhao's face turned pale, and his hand trembling while holding the sword, here you go again. This is my old thing. Every time I see it, it hurts. Yushi pulled him back. Don't look, the circle magnifies the memory. Yajing, respond in reverse. What is Quan asking? The sound of water was clear, what's the point of guarding? Sacrifice is fruitless. Yajing's heart beat fast, and her intuition surged, this is a question, and the answer is yes. She loudly said, sacrifice lights up the road. Chenhao, your sword to protect the village will never be in vain. The spring water shook, the ripples expanded, and the stone gate emerged from the roots of the tree, opening a crack. It's done. Feng clapped her hands. Legend says that answering the door opens the door, just like a riddle game in the village. They squeezed into the labyrinth of roots. The passage was narrow, the roots were like walls, and the runes were faintly glowing. Yushi held up the crystal mirror, the 3rd piece is at the end, but the maze has branches. 3 paths, left hot, right cold, and middle quiet. Logical choice. Yajing drew a map and recalled the snippet of the front wheel, the left wheel collapsed last time, the middle wheel collapsed, and the right wheel passed. But I made the wrong choice last time, and the hot road burned me. She frowned, feeling frustrated, her memory was messed up and optimization was difficult. Chenhao said, I was patrolling, and the road on the right was slippery, but the roots were few and stable. Try the right. They turned right. The passage was cold and the walls were frosted. Halfway through, the puzzle wall appeared, rune lock, 3 stone slabs, black, white and gray, each engraved with return, source, and 1. They need to be pushed in order, otherwise they will eat up the frozen air. Yajing's analysis, the legend circulates endlessly, and the source is unified. Preface, source return 1, like water returning to its source. The first push, source stone, made the wall tremble slightly. Pushing back, the gray stone moves and the cold wind rises, but it is stable. Finally, a small crack opened in the wall. But suddenly, the roots came alive. Like a whip coming, Qinhao stepped forward and cut off one sword, but the second one wrapped around his legs and pulled him down. Damn it! Just like last time, sacrifice. He struggled and shouted, Yajing, optimize. Remember my position for the next round. Yajing's heart was as sharp as a knife, and she grabbed Yushi's hand. No. No more sacrifices. Her mind raced, and she recalled Qinhao's patrol. The roots were hanging from the top. Feng, is the legend broken? Feng gasped, the gray stone is the key. It's not pushing, it's turning, like a millstone. Yajing rushes up, turns the gray stone back, the roots retreat to the wall, and the cold air disappears. Qinhao got out of trouble, got up, and patted the ground. Danger. Your memory saved me. I used to work alone and would have froze to death long ago. Going deeper, the setbacks made Yajing grit her teeth. Failure should have ended, but opportunities can be given back, and optimization can be like upgrading. She went from panic to calm and grew a little bit, not only solved puzzles, but also predicted the team's pain. In the grotto at the end, the third fragment is embedded in the root heart, and the silver light pulses. Surrounded by runes, you need to say, the source returns to 1, the fragments return to their place. Yushi murmured, and the crystal mirror supplied energy, but there is a trap, misread it, and the root will explode. Yajing took a deep breath, I will do it. Logic, the source is in the well, the return is in the circle, and the 1 is in the tree. She read out, and the fragments came loose and flew into her hand, as warm as a heartbeat. The 3 pieces combined, blue light exploded, and Yajing felt a surge of power. The barrier could not be stronger. But the joy is over. There was a loud roar outside the cave, and a group of medium-sized monsters charged, their claws reflecting the light of the spring. Qinhao's sword came out, again. They are faster this time. Yajing shouted, back off. Use the fragments to delay. Yushi stood by the spring, combined 3 pieces of spells, and the silver blue shot out, the west side of the barrier lit up, the monsters hit the wall and howled back, and the village gasped again. When we ran back, it was dark. Yajing helped Qinhao, whose leg injury was minor, and smiled, girl, you are tenacious. Faced with my old sacrifices, don't panic and optimize the road. The team is like a family because of you. Feng hugged the fragment box. The legend points to the 4th. Deep in the forbidden area, there is a cave under the spring. But rest first and celebrate. Liu Feng greeted the door, the porridge was hot, the west is stable. But the tide is approaching, the 4th piece is waiting for you. Yushi blinked at Yajing, frustration bites, but you bite back. Partner, let's continue. Yajing nodded, her heart burning. The cycle is still there, but she is not afraid. Memory is the shield, and the team is the sword. 4th piece, come on. The fire crackled at the entrance of the village. The villagers gathered in a circle and clinked wooden cups with crisp sounds. Inside was the aged fruit wine that Liu Feng dug out from the cellar. It was sour and sweet with the wildness of wild berries. Yajing leaned on the wooden post, the cup in her hand was warm. She watched Qinhao take a big gulp of wine. On his rough smiling face, there was still some blood on the bandage of his leg injury, but his eyes were as bright as the blue light of the barrier. The 4th piece, the Chuanxia cave deep in the forbidden area. It sounds like a mouse hole, but legend has it that there is always a way. She said, with a tired but determined tone in her voice. Yushi sat next to her, her silver hair shining in the firelight. She tapped the crystal mirror, and the pulsating pattern of 3 fragments was reflected on the mirror. The Chuanxia cave is the entrance to the underground ruins. It is called the Abyss of Origin in the village history, and it hides the second puzzle. It is not a simple root maze. The runes here are more ancient, like the original language of the sacred tree. After closing the 3 pieces, the barrier is stable, but the sign of the big tide, the vibration of the earth's veins, points there. Yajing, we have to work together to solve it, otherwise the cycle will accelerate and the reset will be more severe. Liu Feng squeezed through the crowd, his beard stained with wine foam. He patted Yajing on the shoulder and sat by the fire. His voice was as low as the night wind in the village. Girl, you have optimized this round beautifully. There is no leakage in the west. The monsters hit the wall like a mangy dog. But the village tradition has limitations. When our ancestors built the barrier, they only defended, not attacked, and relied on 5 fragments to seal the outside enemies. But the source of the curse is not the monsters, but the cracks inside. I tried to summon a shield before, but it didn't touch the root. Yajing, your logic is like a key, opening the door to a forbidden area. Tradition teaches us to endure until the tide swallows the village. Yajing nodded, feeling warm in her heart. Liu Feng's trust was like hot porridge in the village, warming her bones. She turned to look at Feng. The girl was sitting with her knees crossed, staring at the flames. Her usual excitement had faded, and a shadow appeared on her face. Feng, what is there in the Chuanxia cave in the legend? Last time you mentioned the hidden gate, what about this time? Feng sighed, chewed half of the fruit and threw it on the ground. She rubbed her eyes, her voice was frank and trembling like a village girl's. Sister Yajing, let me share my despair. Every time I go around, I remember a little bit. My parents disappeared in the tide, and when they woke up, they smiled and asked for breakfast. Legend says that the second fragment is hidden in the cave under the spring, but the road is the abyss shadow corridor, and the shadow will repeat the most painful things. It makes people collapse. Last time, I saw myself drowning in the spring, calling your name, but no one answered. Despair is like mud, and my feet are stuck. Why do we keep repeating it? I am afraid that this time, there will be no joy. There was silence for a moment beside the fire. Chen Hao put down his cup and patted Feng's shoulder with his rough hand. Sister, despair is the claw of a monster, but we have swords. Yajing optimized my path last time, this time I will protect you from the shadow bite. Yushi came closer to Feng and whispered, legends are clues, and your sharing is fire. When the team sticks together, despair will disperse. Yajing, what do you think? Yajing stood up, and the firelight lengthened her shadow. She felt that she had changed, from a lost girl to holding the team's hand. Feng, I understand the despair. In the first round, I thought my dream of going home was shattered and I cried until dawn. But the cycle gives opportunities, not punishment, but training. Village Chief Liu, the traditional forbearance is a shield, but we add swords. Tomorrow, enter the origin early in the morning. Yushi, you rune and I logic, Chen Hao opens the way, Feng refers to the legend. No one can carry it alone, optimize every step. It was late at night, and Yajing could not sleep well. Rune pictures were running in her mind, fragments of the front wall flashed, and the shadow of the cave under the spring was like a ghost. She clenched her fists. Growing up doesn't happen overnight, it's about gritting one's teeth and pushing open the door. From novice to leader, she felt a little lighter on her shoulders, and the heat of the team made her straighten up. When the fog cleared and dawn came, the 5 members of the team, Yajing in the lead, Yushi, Chen Hao, Feng, and Liu Feng in the rear, returned to the forbidden area. The road to Zilinzi was familiar, and Chen Hao cut through the thorns with his sword. Remember, last time the monsters emerged from the soil, this time I will step on the ground first. The water beside the spring was still, reflecting the residual warmth of last night's fire. They went around the roots and found a hidden spring under the hidden door. Liu Feng recited a mantra, the blue light of the shield covered his body, the water's surface cracked, revealing stone steps leading to the ground. The air is damp and cold, with a musty smell, like fermentation in an old well in the village. The abyss of origin. Feng whispered, pointing to the runes carved on the wall, twisted lines, like tree roots entwining snakes. Yajing squatted down and drew a map, the second puzzle starts here. The runes are not dead paintings, they are alive. Look, the lines are moving, like breathing. She touched a line with her finger, the runes lit up, and projected onto the screen wall, the shadow of a village girl, drowned in black water, shouting, "Why repeat?" Feng's face turned pale, my despair. Yuxala Yajing, cooperation. These are original runes, Shadow Whisper Lock, which need to be solved interactively. It is not a push, but a dialogue. Jingjing discrimination, the first one is source, asking about the root, the second back, asking about the cycle, the third yuan, asking about the abyss. The reverse answer is like Feng's folk song, but with logic. Yajing nodded, her heart racing, the source is the village history, the return is the memory, and the abyss is the team. Try. She said to the first rune, it originates from the ancestral tree, not from the magical beast. The lines trembled, the shadow wall was pale, and the passage was opened an arm's width away. Chen Hao looked forward, steady, advance. The second rune was bright, projecting Chen Hao's reflection, and was entangled by the roots, shouting, is the sacrifice in vain? Yajing said steadily, the circle is not in vain, it is the optimization of the shield sword. The rune responded, the gray light dispersed, and the road became wider. Going deep into the ruins, the walls are entangled, and the sound of dripping water echoes like a bell. Feng Chuan, legend has it that there is a debris platform at the end, but there is a guarding shadow, a small magic beast. Liu Feng frowned, traditional limitations, the ancestors here did not mention it, I am afraid that the curse is deep. Suddenly, the ground shook, and roars came from the cracks in the wall, a small-scale invasion of magic beasts, 3 shadow wolves, claws like knives, testing the weak barrier, the 3 fragments stabilize the surface, but leak magic power underground. Chen Hao flashed his sword, here we come. Optimization, I'll block the left, you go right. He rushed forward, his sword cut off one wolf's claws, blood spattered on the stone steps, but the second wolf pounced on his back, tearing open his shoulder. Yajing shouted, Chen Hao, retreat. Yushi, shield. Yushi raised the crystal mirror and covered it with blue light, but there were many wolves. The third one bit Chen Hao's leg. He fell to the ground and waved his sword, Yajing, remember me, sacrifice to inspire you, push deeper. Team, sticky. He roared with all his strength, and the sword pierced the wolf's heart, but he was dragged into the shadow wall and disappeared into the black mist. The cycle would reset him, but this time, the pain was real. Yajing's eyes were hot and she gritted her teeth, it's not in vain. We will take his path. Growth surged, and she pulled the team from behind. Feng, the legend breaks the shadow. Feng wiped away tears, Nyeying. Call the team name, just like calling friends in the village. They shouted in unison, Chen Hao, Liu Feng, Feng, Yushi, Yajing, one family. The shadow wall cracked, the wolves held back, and the road opened. The third rune appears, Abyss Lock, big stone gate, engraved with, what is the meaning of the abyss? The whole village is flooded, and the tide roars. Yajing's analysis was as logical as a net, it's not about forbearance, it's about attacking the root. Is Yuan betraying? The legend is hidden, within the source. She touched the rune, and the interaction was picturesque, her finger drew a reverse line, the rune responded, and the door opened a crack. Yushi added the curse, what an intuition. The second fragment is included. At the end of the stage, the fragments of the second scroll are embedded in the stone heart, with golden light pulsing, and a ring of runes. It needs to return to the source of the shadow abyss, and the fragments awaken. Yajing read the words with a steady voice, the source returns to Yuani, the team will not be separated. The fragments flew out, as hot as a torch. 4 pieces together. No, the first 3 plus this second stage are energy explosions, bright underground barrier pulses, and deep stability. The monsters roar far away, and the ruins are safe. When running out, Yajing supported Feng, and Liu Feng said, Chen Hao will wake up, but his sacrifice, wakes me up, and the tradition must be broken. Feng held the fragment, be less desperate, the team you lead is like family. Yushi said to Yajing, you changed from a novice to a leader, cracked the rune lock, and the interactive drawing is like art. Partner, let's dig up the source. Yajing's heart sank. The fragments were stable, but the projected shadow of the village hinted that the source of the curse was deeper, not a foreign enemy, but a hidden betrayal within the village. She feels that her growth is like the edge of a sword. From solving puzzles to leading, her shoulders are heavy but steady. The circle bell is ringing, and the tide is approaching, but she does not panic. The team is the root, pushing to the end. The sun shone into the entrance of the village, and the team crawled out of the forbidden area panting. The residual warmth of the second fragment was still smoldering in Yajing's palm, like a hot coal. She waved her hand and looked at Qinhao. No, Qinhao hadn't woken up yet this time. The ringing bell had just sounded faintly, and the village had reset a bit, but not as harshly as before. The musty smell in the air has faded, the blue light of the barrier pulses steadily, and the low roar of the monsters no longer comes from the woods to the west. Liu Feng wiped the sweat from his forehead, his beard trembling. Girl, when the fragments are closed, the underground veins are stable. Tradition has never mentioned that it is so deep, but the road you led, the circle is a bit slow. It reset at sunset before, but this time it is still bright. Yajing nodded, thinking in her mind that the projection of Kunyan on the screen wall was not the claws of an external enemy, but the cracks within. She patted Feng on the shoulder. The girl's face was still pale, and she squatted beside the spring with her knees in her arms. Feng, wake up, Qinhao will come back, his sacrifice was not in vain. Feng raised his head, his eyes were red, and his voice was like the drizzle in the village. Sister Yajing, I know. But according to legend, the shadow in the cave under the spring is not only despair, but also hides the old accounts of the village. Before the round of flooding, my parents always murmured about the inner ghost. I thought it was just talking in sleep, but now, something is wrong in the village. They walked back to the village along the path, their footsteps stepping on wet soil, and the wild flowers on the roadside were blooming more prosperously than yesterday. At the entrance of the village, the lingering fragrance of fruit wine is still lingering. The villagers are busy having lunch, and the laughter is normal. Yajing has sharp eyes. Behind the fence on the east side, an old man is bending down to pick up firewood. His hands are shaking violently, as if he is hiding something. Liu Feng frowned and followed her. I saw it. After the barrier was strengthened, the monsters retreated, but the villagers, some remembered the fragments of reincarnation, but they pretended to be stupid. Fear, girl. Tradition teaches us to keep secrets for fear that if we tell the truth, the curse will bite deeper. I have been the village chief for 20 years, and I always dream of someone opening the door to let the enemy in before the tide. But is that fear? Or internal hidden dangers? Yajing answered in a low voice, and the logic was connected like a thread, the betrayal hint of the projection, the cracks in the village history. She stopped and turned to the team. Village Chief Liu, your fear is a clue, and Feng's legend makes up for it. We can't just dig underground, we have to check the village. The frequency of loops has decreased, and the chances are high, but the tide is approaching, and the source must be dug out. Feng nodded and rubbed her eyes. Sister, I heard my dad said that there is a hidden library in the old house behind the village. The books hidden by ancestors tell the history of the barrier. There are many runes in it, but the door lock, shadow of the heart, needs to be opened by sharing the fear. Just as he was talking, Qinhao's voice rang out from the village road. He strode over with a new bandage on his shoulder. The white bandage on his shoulder was dazzling. He circled around to reset his injury, but the fire in his eyes was not extinguished. Yajing. The patrol is back. The west side is stable, but the east boundary is leaking. It's not a monster, it's a figure that flashed across the village, sneaky. I saw something similar buried in the soil last round, like a fragment of a scroll. No, the information is incomplete, but I'll check it out again. Yajing's heart sank. Qinhao's information was like a sword pointing at the inner ghost. She patted his arm. Thank you, brother. Your patrol is your eyes, our investigation is your hands. We are a team, don't do it alone. Chen Hao grinned and said gruffly, stick. Sacrifice taught me that optimization is not about hiding, but about rushing. Liu Feng sighed, fear hidden behind his beard. The east is my area, and tradition does not allow you to doubt the villagers, but, let's go to the library. Feng leads the way, I will share the fear and open the door. The afternoon sun was slanting. After the team moved to the village, the old house was hidden behind the vines, like a sleeping giant. Feng pushed open the firewood door. It was dusty inside, the bookshelf was tilted, and the air smelled of musty books. The entrance to the hidden library is a stone wall engraved with Heart Shadow Gate, fear resonates to open up history. Liu Feng stepped forward, his voice low and hoarse, my fear. Before the tide, I saw the village chief's father open the back door of the barrier and let the black shadow in. Dream? Or is it real? Tradition suppresses my tolerance, but now, suspicion is like insect bites. The stone wall trembled, the cracks glowed blue, and the door opened a crack. Yajing led in, and Yushi followed closely. Her silver hair swept across the bookshelf, and she tapped the crystal mirror. What an ancient lock. These books are fragments of village history, and the original versions of the origins of runes. Yajing, let's work together, you make logical strings, and I identify runes. Yajing nodded and opened a yellowed book with a village map on the page, marked the third fragment, Donglin Altar, hidden in the tree of back shadows. She traced the line with her finger, the historical puzzle starts here. The book says that when the barrier was built, 5 pieces were hidden separately, but the third piece was cursed, a traitor stole it, causing a loop. Clues, the stone tablet under the tree is engraved with True in the Shadow, which needs to be read backwards. Feng came closer, her voice trembling with excitement, legend added. Dad said that the back tree is the guardian tree of the altar in the east of the village, and the shadow will reveal the face of the betrayer. Last time, I saw blurry shadows, like people in the village. Liu Feng's face was livid, fear complements each other. Traditionally, hiding this page, I thought it was a taboo, but now, the internal danger is real. Girl, you have become a detective, from solving mysteries to digging out the heart. Yushi suddenly stopped, her face reflected in the crystal mirror, and she paled for a moment. Yajing, this mystery is deep. I have encountered similar problems in the past. The village history is incomplete, and there are some things that I hide. Her voice was low, and her eyes were averted, like the secret moving under the silver hair. Yajing's heart tightened, her trust loosened a little, her partner was hiding something. The first round of cooperation went smoothly, but this hint, of betrayal? She said steadily, Yushi, the team is sticky. Hiding is your shield, but when digging for the source, you have to open it fully. We have the clues of the third fragment. Are you going to Donglin? Yushi nodded, but didn't say much. Let's go. The crystal mirror identifies the altar runes and we need to complement each other. They left the library, and Chen Hao made a tour and brought new information. Beside the east forest, the soil is loose, someone has dug it, and the traces of monsters are mixed with human footprints. Optimization, I will open the way, and you will unravel the monument. On the village road, the wind picked up, and the blue light of the barrier flashed, and the cycle frequency slowed down to make the air looser, but Yajing felt that hidden dangers were like undercurrents. The Donglin altar is at the east end of the village. There are ancient trees with entwined roots. The trees behind them are towering and their shadows are as long as ghost hands. The stone tablet is embedded under the tree, and the runes are twisted and engraved, True in the Shadow, return to the source lock. Yajing squatted down and turned her logic, reverse reading, Suo Yuan Hui, True Shadow. It means that the source of the circle is in the real shadow, the betrayer. She traced the reverse line with her finger, the tablet lit up, and projected the shadow wall. The faces of the villagers were blurred, the door opened and black mist was released, a silver hair flashed by. No, an illusion. Yushi's face turned pale and she pulled her back. Yajing, don't be suspicious. The mystery is history, not the present. But her hands were shaking, and the hints of the past were like thorns. Feng added clues. Legend says that the third fragment is in the heart of the tree and needs to be opened by fear resonance, village chief Liu, your leader of fear. Liu Feng stepped forward, his voice trembling. I'm afraid that the ghost inside is me, and tradition is going the wrong way. The tree trembled, a small hole opened, and the third fragment pulsated in the golden light. Suddenly, the ground shook and a roar came from Shenlin. A swarm of monsters is coming. The reinforced barrier blocked most of the attack, but the internal cracks allowed a small group to break through, 5 shadow leopards, their claws flashing black light, rushing towards the altar. Chen Hao's sword came out. Information is correct. They are leaking from the east. Optimize. I block the front, you get the fragments. He rushed forward, cut off a leopard's tail with his sword. Blood splashed on the tree roots, but the second head jumped to the side, biting his arm. He shouted, Yajing, trust the team. Let them enter the hole dug by the mole. Yajing's eyes are hot, and her trust is in crisis. Yushi's hidden image, but the monster is real. She gritted her teeth. Yushi, now. Shield. Yushi raised the crystal mirror, covered the altar with blue light, and spelled urgently, it used to be a shackle, now break it. The light exploded, and the leopards took 2 steps back. Yajing rushed to the tree hole, stretched out her hand with golden light, and took the fragments hotly. The truth in the shadow, the betrayal is in the village history, not you. But it is hidden, and you have to make it clear. Yushi nodded, with wet eyes. Okay, I said, wait until later. Cooperate first. Feng shouted, Nike Ying. Team name. They shouted together, Yajing, Yushi, Chen Hao, Feng, Liu Feng, the roots are deep. The leopard group held back, the fragments were closed, the barrier veins were all bright, and the east layer was stable. Chen Hao gasped for breath and blood flowed from his arm. Intelligence value. There is an internal danger line. Liu Feng patted the tree. Be less afraid, your stickiness, let the tradition wake up. Yajing holds the fragments with a calm heart. From a leader to a detective, she has an insight into the web of betrayal, and Yushi's determination to turn the crisis into reality. The team is the key, the collection of fragments is close to the end, and the source is close. The tide is rising, Lin is shaken, but she will not retreat. Pushing to the end, the inner ghost will be exposed. The wind in Donglin was still whistling in my ears, and the heat of the third fragment was like the charcoal fire in the village, holding it in Yajing's palm, pulsing slightly. She took a deep breath and turned to look at the team. Chen Hao was wrapped in a new bandage, his sword was still dripping with blood, and he was grinning as if he had won a village game. Feng was rubbing her eyes, the hope on her face was brighter than the sunshine in the forest. Liu Feng's wrinkles under his beard were loosened, and he patted the tree trunk as if to comfort an old friend. Yushi's silver hair was messy, and her crystal mirror was put into her sleeves, her eyes dodging but not retreating. The howl of the monster retreated far away, and the blue light of the barrier enveloped Donglin firmly, but Yajing knew in her heart that she couldn't just hold the fragment. The yellowed words on the page of the book vaguely mentioned that casting requires edge sacrifice, and that she had to go to the outer layer of the barrier, the old altar on the other side of the mist. Let's go, Yajing said, her voice as steady as her newly practiced detective tune. The fragments are hot, and the ghost's shadow is still shaking, but the team is sticky, so strengthen the barrier first. The tide is strong, and opportunities wait. She took the lead, and her logic was tightened like a thread. From relying on Yushi's runes to now leading the way, she has grown like fragments, piece by piece. Chen Hao followed, striding to break dead branches. Yajing, your strategy is awesome. I sacrificed 3 times in the previous rounds, but I only got 1 bite this round. With optimized intelligence and your prediction, the leopards did not attack all. Thanks, sisters, the team will not break up, I will rush forward to clear the way. Feng nodded and tugged on Liu Feng's sleeve. Village chief, the power of the third fragment in the legend is not small. Dad said that it not only stabilizes the east floor, but can also summon the spirits in the fog to repel the big guys. But be careful, there are shadow traps hidden in the fog. If you make a wrong step, you will be confused and the old accounts of the inner ghost will be revealed. Liu Feng sighed, his voice carrying a heavy tone. Shen, an elder in the village, the legends of the girls make up for the tradition, and I, an old man, can keep up. There is less fear, but the pit leaking to the east, the internal danger is approaching. Yushi walked behind, the crystal mirror tapped the palm of her hand, and whispered, I will protect the rear. I need to take the lead in casting the spell, but, you are quiet, when the fog is deep, trust my light. They walked along the path along the edge of the barrier, and the sunlight gradually faded. At the end of the east forest was a gray wall of fog, like the morning fog behind the village, but with a magical flavor. The edge of the blue light was twisted, and the air was bitingly cold. Yajing stopped and pressed the fragment with her hand. The book says that to cast the third piece, you have to go through the fog and reach the old altar stone platform. The environmental puzzle is inside, and the reverse shadow solution and fear resonance will open the way. Her intuition flashed. There are not only traps in the fog, but also twists and turns. Will the team's doubts, like Yushi's concealment, be amplified? She shook her head, shook off her thoughts, and took the lead. Qinhao explored the path, Fang supplemented the legend, and Yushi and I solved the talisman. Village Chief Lu was behind the scenes, sharing our fears and calming down. Stick together, don't let the shadow of the inner ghost take advantage of the loophole. Qinhao raised his sword, took the first step into the fog, and shouted, information. The fog is cool, but the feet are wet and soft, like hidden water. The fog surged up, wrapping them around them, and their vision blurred into a white world. Yajing's heart beat a little faster, but the logic changed. This is not a chaotic fog, it is filtered by the barrier, hiding puzzles. She held Fang's hand. What does the legend say? How do you summon the power of fragments? Fang's voice was trembling but excited. Sister, there will be 3 shadow gates in the fog. Each gate is engraved with a true shadow lock. You need to read it backwards and speak the truth to open it. The power is the fog spirit summon. After strengthening, the barrier can block large monsters and no longer leak small ones. After the words fell, the first shadow door appeared in front of the fog, and the stone carving was blurred. Suaing Zhen. Yajing squatted down and traced her fingers backwards. True shadow lock means that only the true shadow is unlocked. The sincerity of the team opens first. She turned her head. Qinhao, you're true, the sacrifice of the patrol. After optimization, you died 2 times less. Thank you for the strategy. Qinhao. Hao smiled and patted his chest. Really? Yajing, your prediction allowed me to rush forward alive. When I blocked the leopard this round, I thought of you saying, sticky and won't break away, and my heart stabilized. Open. He stepped forward and pressed on the palm of his hand. Like a resonance of fear, the door cracked with blue light, and the fog dispersed all the way. The second door was about to appear, the wind was rising in the fog, and there was a faint roar, not a leopard, but something bigger, like a tiger spirit in the forest. Yushi suddenly raised the crystal mirror, and the light pierced the fog. Here I come. This talisman is the origin spell, and it requires magic to reverse it. She chanted the spell, her silver hair flying, showing her strength. The blue light was like a net, covering the door carving, and, shadow lock true, reversed into, true shadow lock. When the door opened, her face was pale, and the shadows of the past emerged. Her eyes flashed with black mist, like silver hair in the projection of village history. Yushi? Yajing asked in a low voice, intuitively predicting, this turning point is coming, and concealing it will tear the team apart. She held her arm. The fog amplifies the inner demon. Is your past related to the inner demon? Tell me clearly, otherwise the fog will bite you deeply. Yushi bit her lip and her voice was like drizzle in the fog. Yajing was not from this village in my last life. When I was summoned, I saw a similar cycle. The master was a betrayer, who stole the broken scrolls and lured the demons in. I hid it, afraid that you would suspect that I was like a shadow. But now, the cooperation is real, and I will prove it with my strength. She waved her hand, the crystal mirror exploded, the second door opened fully, and the fog retreated 3 feet. Chen Hao turned back and tightened his sword. Sister, I believe you. Sacrifice taught me, concealment is a shield, but teamwork is armor. Yajing takes the lead in the confrontation, talk openly, and feel relaxed. Liu Feng stepped forward, his beard trembling. Tradition is wrong, fear hides the ghost inside. I share. Before the tide, I dreamed that I opened the door. It was not a dream, it was the sin of my ancestors, passed down to my heart. Now open it, I will come to the third door. The third shadow door appeared, engraved with, the true shadow in the shadow, read backwards, the true shadow in the shadow. Feng added, the legendary power is here. After opening it, the fragments will be cast, and the fog spirit will appear, strengthening the barrier to block the enemy. Liu Feng pressed his palms and said in a hoarse voice, my real ghost blood is in me, but your stickiness makes me wake up. Open. The door trembled and cracked, and inside the golden light was the old altar's stone platform. The fog completely dissipated, revealing a circle of runes. But the turning point came suddenly, the ground shook, roaring like thunder outside the forest, and a large monster broke through the border, not a leopard, but a foghorn giant bear with a body like a hut. Its horns flashed black, and it emerged from an old pit with internal troubles. Its eyes were as red as a blood moon. Chen Haojin rushed, the information is wrong. This big guy has been hiding for a long time, and it is too late to optimize, Yajing, strategy. Yajing's heart tightened, and her intuition flashed. The split is close, Yushi's past will make Liu Feng suspicious. She took the lead and stabilized, don't break up. Yushi casts, I protect the circle. Chen Hao on the side of the bear, village chief Fang Lu summoned the spirit. The reverse shadow name, Team Root. She predicted correctly, but Yushi did not retreat, but instead used the power of the shadow. She rushed to the stone platform, embedded the crystal mirror with the spell, original lock, fog spirit summons. Strengthen the east floor, break the shackles. The fragments exploded brightly, the golden and blue light was like fireworks at a village festival, and the fog spirit appeared, 3 blue shadow figures, surrounding the stone platform, rushing towards the giant bear. Chen Hao slashed the bear's leg with his sword and roared, little sacrifice, I will win this round. Yajing, thank you for your strategy, the bear's claws were 2 beats too late. The giant bear jumped into the air, and the fog spirit caught its horns, pulling it back to Lin Shen, and the black light shattered. Fang shouted, the legend is right. The power of the fragments summons spirits, and the barrier is as stable as iron. Liu Feng summoned a shield, and the whole village of Lanmang pulsed and strengthened greatly. The leak hole in the east healed, and the monster howled and retreated away. After the casting, the stone platform dimmed and the team sat around panting. Yajing wiped away her sweat and calmed down. From dependence to dominance, she predicted the turning point and avoided division. Yushi's shadow did not break the team and turned into a force. Chen Hao patted her on the shoulder, sister, I'll see you when you grow up. I'll go solo in the first round, but I'll win this round. Yushi lowered her head, her silver hair covering her eyes. Yajing, thank you for trusting me. I made it clear in the past, Master secretly lured me back, and I escaped here, fearing the same thing again. But now, let's work together to solve the problem. Fang smiled, sisters, Fog Trap was originally ruthless, like a well of inner demons, but we got through it. The 4th fragment of the legendary power is in Beishan. The inner ghost is close. Liu Feng nodded, fear turning firm, tradition wakes up, your adventures make the village alive. The cycle is as slow as a crawl, and before the tide, dig out the internal troubles. Yajing holds her empty palm, the residual warmth of the fragments is heartwarming, the tension of fantasy puzzle solving is still there, and the fog and traps are like original shadows, teaching her to control the depth. But the wind blows, the north mountain whistles faintly, the team sticks, and she doesn't retreat, pushing to the source, the wheel of fate is broken. The wind from Beishan is like the whisper of an old hunter, carrying rosin and a faint earthy smell, blowing through the old locust tree at the entrance of the village. Yajing rubbed her palms, and the residual warmth of the 3rd fragment was still there, like the hot pancakes during the new year in the village, which warmed her heart. She turned to look at the team. The setting sun lengthened the shadows, and the blue light of the barrier now pulsed evenly and was no longer so trembling. Chen Haojian gathered his waist and wiped his sweat. Yajing, it's great to win this round. The bear's claws, in the first few turns, pushed me into the mud. Your prediction is really useful for sticking to the team. Feng nodded, his eyes bright. Sister, when the fog spirit was summoned, the hope in my heart was like when my father told stories when I was a kid, there would always be a hero to break the situation. Liu Feng walked in the front, his steps were a little heavier than before, and his mouth under his beard tightened. Go back to the village first. The barrier is stable, and there is no wind leakage from the east, but the shadow of the inner ghost must be dug out. Tradition taught me to keep, now you teach me to enter. Yushi followed Yajing, with silver hair on her face. The wind swayed slightly, and after putting away the crystal mirror, she whispered, after I cast it, I felt that the cycle was a little slower. The memory became clear, like the fog had dispersed. Yajing's heart moved, and her intuition flashed, this is a turning point. Strengthening not only blocks foreign enemies, but also pries open the lock of fate. She nodded, yes, go back first. Put the scroll together and see the whole picture. The team will not be separated, and we will press together internally and externally. The entrance to the village became lively, and the villagers gathered around the old locust tree, with less fatigue on their faces. After the barrier was stabilized, the sky became brighter, the swirling fog was like an ebbing tide, and memory fragments began to emerge. Some people remembered the sacrifice of the front wheel, and some murmured their dreams last night. As soon as Liu Feng arrived, he clapped his hands and called, folks. Donglin is stable, and the monsters have retreated. This is not God's blessing, but the wisdom and courage of Yajing and the others. Tradition cannot be maintained, now we are united and organized. At the other end of the Beishan mountain, the fourth fragment is hidden, the key to breaking the shackles. Whoever has a clue, tell me, whoever can help, take action. Don't be afraid, share it. The villagers were buzzing with discussion, some offered hot tea, others nodded in agreement. Feng squeezed forward, and La Yajing said, Sister, my father's legend book opened the last page in my dream last night. The fragments of the old Beishan temple are in the mirror heart formation, but to open it requires 3 truths and 1 falsehood. The true heart locks the 3 doors, and the false shadow destroys the ghost inside. Legend says that the betrayer will appear in the mist, and the whole army will be wiped out. It is powerful and can be strengthened by the whole barrier. But be careful, the wind in the north is strong, and there are abnormal traces, like the old well in the village, which is bottomless. Yajing listened, her mind thinking quickly. Feng's clues were added to the marginal offering in the book, which was the last piece of the puzzle. She patted her shoulder, thank you, sister. Your legend is always the key, like the hidden rules of the village competition, helping us optimize the path. Turning to Yushi, let's go and spell the scroll in the house. Once the whole picture is revealed, the ghost can't hide. The two sneaked into Liu Feng's conference room. The rubbings of the first 3 fragments were scattered on the wooden table. The yellowed paper looked like an old photo, and the runes were zigzag. Yushi unfolded the crystal mirror, and the light swept across it. The fragments were projected into the air, and the 3 pieces fit together, revealing most of the scroll pattern, blue and gold intertwined chains, with a hollow in the center, marked, 4th origin, break the shackles and fully use. Look, Yushi pointed at the hollow with her finger, her voice tightening with excitement, the whole scroll is the destined reincarnation lock. 3 pieces are the stable foundation, and the 4th piece is the core. To cast it, you need the full set to strengthen the barrier to the extreme and break the shackles of time. But, note on the picture, the 4th piece is in the north. Shan Jingxin will summon the true form of the inner ghost when solving the puzzle. Yajing, your intuition is right, the source of betrayal is close. Yajing stared at the projection and had a short inner monologue, from being a novice in the fog to now putting the whole picture together, she has grown up, and can not only predict turning points, but also lead the overall situation. Well, we need the 4th to break through. But internal and external threats have escalated, and the big tide is approaching. Warcraft will join forces with internal ghosts to attack. The team will move forward, and I will lead the team to go to Beishan. Outside the door, Chen Hao's voice sounded. He pushed the door open, sweat glistening on his face. Yajing, here's the information. While patrolling the residual mist in the east, I picked up this dash. He threw out a rag with burnt edges and embroidered with a silver hair pattern, like Yushi's old cloak, but stained with blood. Abnormal traces. Someone was sneaking around the old well in the west of the village and threw this thing away. It's not a leopard's claw, it was burned by human hands. The inner ghost moved, and it was confirmed to be someone from the village, at the intersection of Zhangbaishan Mountain. Yajing took the cloth, smelled a faint smell of magic, and her heart sank. Here's the twist, traces of the betrayer are revealed. Will the team be broken up? She shook her head, shook off her doubts, and took the lead. Chen Hao, thank you for the information. Your patrols are optimized and the police are always the first. With Feng's legend added, and village chief Lu's organization and support, our team set off. You, and Yushi will explore the heart of the mirror. Village chief Feng Lu will stay in the village and call on the villagers to protect the barrier to prevent insiders from getting through. Liu Feng responded outside, okay. The villagers obeyed the order and took turns guarding the border. They shared their fears and calmed their minds. I summoned the shield, and the whole village was surrounded by blue lights. Yajing, you lead the way, and tradition lends your light. Feng pulled Chen Hao's sleeves. Brother, the wind in Beishan is fierce, remember the legend, Jingxin Formation 3. The first one is true, the second one is true, and the third one is true. But if the false one shows up, you will be trapped. Chen Hao grinned. Sister, my sword blocks the outside, your intelligence is on the inside. When the team left the village, the North Mountain Road was winding, the wind was as strong as a saw, and the shadows of the trees swayed like ghosts. After the barrier was solidified, Yajing's memory became clear and she flashed back. She got lost on the first day, and now she predicts the path and avoids old pitfalls. Yushi walked aside and asked in a low voice, Yajing, the silver hair on the cloth, looks like my master's mark. Do you doubt me? Yajing stopped and took her hand. No. Explain your past clearly and prove it. The inner ghost is another shadow, and your origin spell is the team armor. Trust me, stick tight. Yushi's eyes were wet and he nodded, thank you. Determined to cooperate, this round I will open the mirror to distinguish the fake from the real. Halfway through, an external threat pounced first. A pack of leopards emerged from the forest, mixed with foghorn wolves, roaring like village drums, and eyes flashing red with black light. Chen Hao drew out his sword and roared, excellent intelligence. The left side of the leopard is weak, and the wolf queen is hiding a human figure. The inner ghosts are united with the outside. He rushed forward, cutting off the wolf's claws with his sword, optimizing the path to let the leopard jump into the air. Yajing's heartbeat was steady, and she led intuitively. Chen Hao stood aside. Yushi and I solved the talisman of the way forward. The name of the reverse shadow, Team Root. Yushi's crystal mirror exploded with light, and the spell chanted, Origin Lock, the mist is gone. The wolf pack in the blue light network, the shadow of the inner ghost flashed, revealing the village face, Liu Feng's distant relative, looking like an old hunter, murmuring, fragments, give me, break the village flail. A sudden twist, the inner ghost appears and seduces a false door. Near the old temple in Beishan, the mirror array floats, and the first door is engraved with True Heart Lock. Yajing noticed, false. Legend has it that there are 3 truths and 1 lies. This is the lure of the mole, showing the old hunter's face, but the eyes are black and gleaming, the real mole is hiding behind the scenes. She turned to the team, Chen Hao, you're real, sacrificial optimization, the intelligence confirmation is abnormal, thank you. Chen Hao pressed his palm, but the door did not open, the black mist burst back, and the mole lurked. Yushi pushed the curse, I'll fix it. The true shadow is reversed. The silver hair flew, the light was wrapped in the dark shadow, and the true body was pulled out. The old hunter roared, in the ancestral sins, I opened the door to attract the devil, and I stole the broken scroll. But the team was sticky, and Yajing predicted, we won't break up. The second door will be opened by true cooperation. The second door appears, shadow lock true. Feng's legend flashed in her mind, and Yajing pulled everyone's hands. Cooperation is true, Yushi's magic, my leadership, Chenhao's sword. Open. 3 people pressed their palms, and the door cracked with blue light. The inner ghost took 3 steps back, his face twisted. You are too tight. The outside wolves howled close, a strong wind blew up, and the edge of the barrier trembled. Chen Haojin added, at the top of the North Mountain, the debris is behind the third door, but the wolf is outflanking it, so we need to solve it quickly. Yajing's growth perspective, from detective to hero, she shouted, rush to third place. The truth will reveal the lies, and the inner ghost will be revealed. The third gate is, the truth is reflected in the shadow, which is read backwards, and the shadow is reflected in the truth. The inner ghost pounced on him, his claws were like black blades. The fragments are mine, the circle will last forever. Yajing dodged and grabbed his arm intuitively. Your lies, ancestral sins weigh on my heart, but village life needs truth. Village Chief Liu has shared that the bloodline is awakened, and the power is transferred. The inner ghost was stunned, with a dark light in his eyes, and murmured, tradition, is wrong. Yushi's crystal mirror embedded light, Chen Haojian protected the side, the door opened with golden light, the 4th piece of the fragment floated, as hot as the fire in the heart. Yajing stretched out her hand to take it, the scroll was fully integrated, the blue and gold chains were pulsing, the entire barrier suddenly strengthened, the wolves howled and retreated, and the inner ghost knelt down, mistakenly believed in the source of the devil. Help you, the ultimate cast. The team panted and sat around, the wind in the North Mountain was gentle, and the debris illuminated their faces. Yajing has a stable mind, the conflict escalates, she leads internal and external, and grows into a hero. The supporting roles contribute like puzzle pieces, Chen Hao's intelligence, Yushi's curse, Feng legend, and Liu Feng's support. The source of the inner ghost's alliance is close, but the tide is looming, and the final preparations still need to be made. The wind in Beishan finally softened, and it was like the warmth of the old lady in the village when she was kneading dough, smelling of pine needles, gently blowing over the ruins of the old temple. Yajing sat cross-legged on the stone steps, holding the 4th fragment in the palm of her hand. It was as hot as a freshly baked bun. Blue and gold runes were pulsing and embedded into the first 3 pieces. The full picture of the scroll finally emerged, a complete chain pattern, with the central core shining, filled with ancient spells, destiny reincarnation lock, all cast to break the source. She took a deep breath and looked up at the team. Chen Haojian leaned on her shoulder, panting and wiping sweat. Yushi's silver hair was scattered, and the mirror was still buzzing. The old hunter was kneeling aside, the black light on his face faded, and the regret in his eyes was like the New Year's fireworks in the village, leaving ashes after exploding. It's done, Yajing whispered, her voice as steady as her current intuition, the pieces are all together. Casting this thing can strengthen the barrier to the top, and even remove the roots of the circle. But the picture indicates, the origin puzzle must be solved first. The inner ghost's alliance is a good turn, but the big fish is still hidden. She turned to the old hunter, and her logical mind was racing. The clues of the old man's ancestral sins, plus the burnt smell of the cloth, pointed to the bloodline in the village, but it was not entirely correct. The old hunter raised his head and his voice was as hoarse as the bark of an old tree in the North Mountain. Girl, I was wrong. My ancestors listened to the whispers of the devil source and stole the fragments in order to gain freedom. As a result, the shackles became tighter. The source was not me alone, but the village chief. Liu Feng's father opened the old well back then, attracting external demons and bringing in a brief period of peace. The legendary traitor is hidden in the heart of tradition. When the team was silent, Chen Hao clenched the hilt of his sword and frowned. What? Village Chief Liu. Brother, you have great intelligence, but this, the tears in his eyes when he organized us to guard the border and share our fears, were they fake? Yushi's eyes flashed and her silver hair flicked. no rush. Yajing, your prediction is always accurate. Go back to the village to verify it first. My past. I need to clarify it. The team got up and went down the Beishan road in a hurry. The blue light of the barrier was now as steady as a village lantern. The howling of the monsters was far away, and the strong wind was faintly pushing the clouds. As Yajing walked, she asked Yushi, "Tell me, how does your origin spell point to Liu Feng?" Yushi bit her lip and her voice was as low as mountain water. "I am not a village student, but a master who summoned me from outside. A dozen rounds ago, she taught me the crystal mirror and said that the village chief Liu Feng hid a secret, his father's blood oath, which tied the old well at the source of the circle. The master wanted to break it, but the traitor kept telling me that the trace of Liu Feng was still there. But I have no evidence, and I'm afraid of breaking up the team. The entrance to the village has turned into a pot of porridge." The villagers gathered around the old locust tree, with panic on their faces like the stuffiness in front of the New Year firecrackers. The barrier was stabilized, but memories emerged and old dreams reappeared. Some people cried out that the front wheel was dead, and some murmured about the ghost inside. Feng squeezed in the crowd and shouted loudly, "Folks! Don't panic." Sister Yajing and the others brought back the key from Beishan. The legendary mirror formation broke and the ghost turned his head. "Remember Dad's book, fear is like fog, share it and it will dissipate. Guard the border in shifts, hand over hot tea, let's wait for the news together." She held her hand and her eyes were as bright as a village lamp. "Auntie, did you dream about my brother's death last time? That was a false image. Now Qinhao is alive and well, and the monsters are far away. There is always a hero in the story." Liu Feng stood under the locust tree, his beard trembling, and he clapped his hands calmly. "Feng is right. The traditional teachers are now organizing themselves with the help of Yajing's light. The inner ghost is close, but the team is sticky, we win." As soon as Yajing's team arrived, he came up to him, his eyes dodge. "Yajing, where are the fragments? Prepare to cast." Yajing's heart sank, and her intuition turned, the old hunter's words, Yushi's past, Liu Feng's eyes, doubts arose. She handed over the scroll rubbings and said in a steady voice, "It's all done. But the mystery of the source lies in the old well. The legend adds, 3 true and 1 false traitors, and the true source is the blood oath. Village Chief Liu, your tradition, has any secrets?" Liu Feng's face turned pale and he turned to Qinhao. "Haozi, you patrol the rear and guard the old well in the west of the village. The external tide is approaching, and the Warcraft Alliance is attacking, so don't leave any gaps." Qinhao nodded and waved his sword. "Understood. The intelligence has been optimized. I will block the back. Yajing, you lead the way." He patted Yajing on the shoulder and grinned. "Sister, your leader is awesome, from girl miss to savior, I will follow you." Feng came closer and said, "Sister, I have resolved the panic and the villagers have stabilized. The last page of the legend, the source of the old well, 3 mysterious locks, the first is true blood, the second is true oath, and the third is true repentance. The fake one is a traitor who seduced her, showing her face." The team split up. Yajing led Yushi, old hunter, and Liu Feng straight to the old well in the west of the village, while Qinhao and Feng stayed behind. The mouth of the well is dark, and the wind blows out from inside, like the dark wind of the ghost festival in the village. Runes are carved on the edge and glow with blue light. Yajing squatted down and used her logical brain to analyze, the burned cloth, the sin of the old hunting ancestor, and the silence of Master Yushi all pointed to the blood oath of Liu Feng's father. But here comes the twist. Liu Feng suddenly put his hand on the edge of the well and murmured, "Yajing, before you cast the scroll, listen to me. The core of the whole picture is my father's seal. He opened a well for the village in exchange for the power of the magic source, but ended up being tied back to the circle. I inherited it, hiding the fear of panic. But it's not me, it's..." Before he could finish his words, black mist flowed from the bottom of the well, turning into the shadow of Liu Feng's father, and roared, "Son, give me the fragments. Tradition is eternal, return to the circle to lock the village. Suspicions arose. Liu Feng's face was distorted, and his eyes flashed with black light. Yushi raised the crystal mirror and screamed, Yajing. His shadow is real and fake. In my past, my master said Liu Feng had two sides. The old hunter pounced on him and pulled Liu Feng, village chief. The ancestral sin passed down to you, repent. Yajing's heart beat like a drum, and her heart was short. From a modern girl to now breaking up betrayal, she has grown up, not only predicting paths, but also leading rifts. Logic flash, no tricks, this suspicion is a false temptation, the true source lies in the oath. She shouted, stop. 3 locks, logically remove them, the first true bloodline, Lao Lai, your ancestral sins make up Liu Feng's veins, press open with your palms. Lao Lai and Liu Feng folded their hands on the edge of the well, the black mist receded halfway, and the door cracked, revealing a blood-red talisman. Liu Feng panted, his eyes darkened, Yajing, thank you. Both sides are under the pressure of the devil. I hid it and tried to defeat it alone, but I was wrong. The team is sticky, and your intuition saved me. The twist resolved, it was not Liu Feng's betrayal, but the false shadow of the devil's excuse. Yajing gathered the crowd, the second true oath, Yushi, tell your past clearly. It was this shadow that silenced the master. Open the curse. Yushi's silver hair flew away, and the crystal mirror reflected light, origin lock, oath to disperse the fog. The blue light exploded, the runes at the bottom of the well were reversed, the second door opened, the gold chain floated, and the core of the scroll was embedded. The external howling was approaching, and Qinhao's shout came, Yajing. The wolves are rushing behind, and the ghosts are still in the shadow. Fangwen villagers, I block it, the strong wind is pushing the tide of monsters. Fang's voice continued, sister, the panic is gone. The villagers share their dreams, and the blue light connects the whole village to help you suppress the source. Yajing grew up, from a lost novice to a savior, she took the lead in the overall situation and roared, the third true regret, village chief Liu, your tradition is awakened, share it all. The old hunter turned to the alliance and made up for it. Liu Feng knelt down by the well and cried, Dad's oath is wrong, the village life needs to be true. I regret it, give the fragment to Yajing, break the shackles. The 3 people pressed their hands, and the black mist dispersed, and the true source of the traitor appeared. It was not a person, it was the magic crystal from the bottom of the old well. It tied back the remaining soul of Liu Feng's father, but it broke. The scroll pulsed all over, and Yajing stood up. The heat in her palms was like a village torch. She chanted the talisman, Destiny Lock, break the source chakra. The blue and gold light exploded, the barriers suddenly expanded, the tide of monsters held back, the strong wind stopped, and the swirling fog dispersed like smoke. Qinhao rushed over, his sword stained with blood, Yajing, the rear is stable. Your prediction is bullish, both inside and outside. Fang led the villagers around, and it was as lively as the new year, sister, the legend has come true. The panic is gone, and hope is full. Yushi hugged Yajing, determined to cooperate, your leader. From girl to hero, we win. The old well is calm, its source is shattered, she looks at the sky quietly, her memory is clear, from the day she summoned the mist to saving the village now, she has changed. But the way home is looming, and after the ultimate casting, the door to another world may open. The team laughed, and Liu Feng patted his shoulder, Yajing, let your tradition shine, and the village will be reborn. Lao Lai stood up, I will help patrol, and we will join the alliance forever. The wind is warm, the blue light is steady, and the adventure is approaching, but a new mystery looms. The wind beside the old well in the west of the village still carries the smell of freshly dispersed fog, like the residual warmth of firewood in the yard after the Chinese New Year. The team huffed and huddled in a circle, laughing mixed with coughing. Yajing put away the scroll rubbings in her palm, and the blue-gold light was still beating at her fingertips. She glanced at everyone, Liu Feng wiped the well mud from his beard, the regret in his eyes turned to determination. Yushi's silver hair was stuck to her forehead, the crystal mirror was put into her sleeves, and the corners of her mouth were slightly raised. The old hunter leaned against the edge of the well, breathing with relief. Chen Hao came from behind, his sword stained with blood, grinning and saying, "Yajing, the wolves in the rear have retreated." Your roar came over, like gongs and drums in the village, stabilizing the whole team. I blocked the last wave, the inner ghost shadow shattered, and the monster howled like it had lost its soul. Feng ran from the entrance of the village with a few villagers, holding a hot teapot in her hand, with a blushing face. "Sister." The villagers shared their dreams, and the fog of panic has dissipated. I just opened the last page of Dad's book. After the old well is broken, the devil will fight back with the help of the remaining souls. The real betrayer is hidden in the altar in the east of the village. The stone tablet there is the source of the shackles. It is not a person, it is the magic crystal at the bottom of the well. Twins, control traditional weaknesses. Village Chief Liu, although your father's oath is regretful, the remaining soul will lure the greedy people in the village to show up. She handed the tea to Liu Feng, and said in a quick but steady voice, "Drink, the hot tea will wake you up." The legend says that to solve the final mystery, you can get the 3 clues: blood, regret, curse, and village heart. We will follow you from the mist girl to the source. Liu Feng took the tea, took a sip, and nodded with trembling beard. "Girl Feng, thank you. I have cleared up the suspicion. The two-faced figure of the magic source used my face to scare people. The mistake was that I hid the secret and did not share it. Now I am an ally." The village tradition borrows Yajing's light and walks to the east altar. He patted Yajing on the shoulder, his eyes were like an old farmer in the village watching the harvest. "Girl, your intuition saves the village, and I will organize backup. Chen Hao, you lead the guard team to the side. Old hunter, fill in the information on your ancestral sins and identify the weaknesses of the remnant souls." The old hunter stood up and pulled the bowstring. "I understand. My ancestors listened to the whispers of the devil. The stone tablet of the east altar has the marks of my veins. After repenting, I will help remove it." Yajing felt warm in her heart. From the panic of a modern girl to now taking charge of the situation, she felt like the rice cake in the village. The more it fermented, the more powerful it became. A brief thought flashed through my mind: the leader does not yell loudly, but sticks to the team and breaks down emotional rifts. She nodded and took Yushi's hand. "Let's go. Yushi, your crystal mirror can tell the truth from the false, and we will join forces to threaten the inside. Feng, Clunyo, lead the villagers to stabilize the rear, and you will take care of the clues in the heart of the village." Yushi flicked his silver hair and held her hand tightly. "Yes. Masters. The past taught me that the magic crystal twins will show up through the hidden greedy people in the village. My origin spell locks in the weaknesses of the oath. Yajing, your strategy optimization, from trial and error to prediction, our partner, is like a pas de deux in the village, step by step." The team hurried to the east of the village. The enchanted blue light was now like a festive lantern, firmly surrounding the village. But in the east direction of the altar, a faint black mist seeped out, like the ghostly wind of the ghost festival, mixed with low roars. Under the leadership of Feng, the villagers gathered around the locust tree and sang old songs to calm their hearts. Chen Hao's sword team dispersed to patrol the border, and the shout came, "Yajing! The army of border monsters is pressing on the border, and the tide is rising." Internal and external cooperation. I blocked the first wave, intelligence feedback. Yajing replied, "Roar, Haozi, optimize the route, don't fight hard. Sacrifice optimization and remember, the team will not break up." Her logical mind was spinning, the memory of the front will emerged, the altar stone is the source of the loop, and the 3 clues can be combined to cast the ultimate scroll and strengthen the barrier to break the shackles. But here comes the twist: in the black mist, a figure emerges. It is not the remnant soul of Liu Feng's father, but the greedy man hidden in the village, a usually low-key blacksmith, with dark eyes, shouting, "Give me the fragment." The magic crystal promises freedom, but the traditional shackles are too tight. I have listened to whispers for many years, change the village. The traitor's true identity exploded, and the blacksmith pounced on him, his hammer covered in black mist, hitting Yushi directly. Yajing instinctively flashed and pushed Yushi away, join forces. Yushi, swear to lock his shadow. Yushi's crystal mirror was raised, and the silver light exploded, origin spell, swear to separate the twins. Blue light wrapped around the blacksmith, the black fog retreated halfway, his face twisted, the village chief's traditional fake, the magic crystal gives real power. Liu Feng, your father opened the well, I will follow and steal the fragments. Liu Feng's face sank, and the shield magic appeared, brother blacksmith, you are wrong. Repent and share, my father's blood oath has been broken, your greed is a temptation. Yajing, blood regret line, old hunter, come on. The old hunter shot out a bow and arrow, and the arrow was embedded with the blood of the ancestor, repentance of the ancestors, lock the source of the devil. The blacksmith staggered, the altar stone cracked, revealing a black and red crystal core, pulsing like a heartbeat, and the remaining soul whispered, son, the village needs to be locked, the inner ghost will live forever. The internal threat escalates, the magic crystal controls the blacksmith to counterattack, and the black mist claws attack Yajing. She dodged, and the scroll fragments were hot in her palms, logical demolition, the three clues are combined, not a trick, but a turning point in the heart of the village. Feng's voice came from behind, leading the villagers to shout, sister. Clues to the heart of the village, Dad's book said that the Tibetan people swear under the altar to share the fear of unlocking. We have a blue light in the whole village, crush it. The villagers were as lively as a market, sharing the death of old wheels, panic atomized light, and rushed to the altar. Yajing grew up, from being emotionally lost to becoming a mature leader, she yelled, Liu Feng, wake up to tradition, share it all. Blacksmith, listen to the heart of the village. Liu Feng knelt in front of the monument and shed tears, village life needs truth, I regret my father's oath, borrow the fragments from Yajing to break the shackles. The blacksmith knelt down, I was wrong. The temptation is too deep. But the external army held close, and the wave of monsters pressed down on the village like black clouds. Chen Hao shouted, Yajing. The wolves and the bear demons attacked together, our team can't stop it. Intelligence, the strong tide pushes thousands of heads, and the weak side of the barrier is northeast. He danced with his sword like the wind, blocking the forward, and his clothes were stained with blood. Yajing's heart tightened, Haozi, retreat. Optimize the strategy and lead them into the barrier. Chen Hao grinned and replied, sister, your heroic leader, I will follow. But this wave, sacrifice optimization to inspire you. A giant bear demon rushed towards you, his sword pierced his throat, but was swept away by his claws, and he smashed against the altar. Blood flowed like a village stream, Yajing, the team will not break up, break the circle, we will drive you home. He fell down, his eyes still staring at her, as brave as a man guarding the border in the village. Chen Hao's sacrifice was like a lightning strike, Yajing's eyes were hot, and her emotional maturity exploded, from the girl's tears to the leader's anger, she integrated knowledge and shouted, Haozi, thank you. Your sacrifice inspires the decisive battle. Yushi, cast the scroll, and the fragments are all embedded. Yushi's silver hair flew away, and the crystal mirror was embedded. Scroll, combine spells, strengthen the barrier. Yajing chanted the talisman, lock of fate, source of broken reincarnation. Blood regret, oath, village heart, open. The three people pressed their palms on the tablet, the black and red crystal core shattered, blue and gold light exploded like a village torch, and the barrier suddenly expanded, wrapping the whole village like an iron barrel. The army of monsters collided, howling and breaking bones, receding like a tide. The tide stopped, and the blue light at the edge was forever stable. The blacksmith repented and stood up, helping Liu Feng to stabilize the villagers. Yajing, the insider threat has been eliminated. Your dismantling, from prediction to leadership, our village owes you. Feng came closer and hugged Yajing, sister, Haozi is gone, the legend is complete. The final solution to the mystery: return after the circle root is broken, cast the full scroll to break the shackles and open the door. The old hunter nodded. I will go to the east. Liu Feng patted Yajing on the back and said, I will lend you my light to break the circle. Yajing looked at Qinhao's legacy sword, shed tears but smiled. She has grown completely, from the mist of another world to the leader of salvation. She integrates everything: logic, allies, emotions. The whole scroll pulsed, and she stood up. Team, stick together. The ultimate cast: reincarnation ends. The wind is warm, the village lights are bright, and the end of the adventure is faintly visible, but the door may be open, and new life is waiting. The blue-gold light of the altar was still pulsing, like the afterglow of firecrackers during the new year in the village. Yajing's palm was pressed against the complete scroll, and heat flowed into her heart along her fingertips. She took a deep breath, and the air around her seemed to freeze. The villagers' singing came faintly from the other side of the locust tree, mixed with the buzzing of the old hunter's bowstring and Liu Feng's whisper, Girl, stick together, our team will never break up. She stood beside her, her silver hair swaying in the wind. The crystal mirror reflected the afterimage of the magic crystal fragments. She whispered, Yajing, the spell is in place. The 3 clues have been combined, cast it. Your logic has dismantled the source, and I will replenish the source power. Yajing nodded, with a brief flash of warmth in her heart. From being confused when she first arrived, to now leading everything, her courage is not innate, but grows bit by bit from every trial and error, and from the eyes of every ally. She chanted loudly, her voice as steady as the gongs and drums of the village, the lock of fate is broken, reincarnation is stopped. The blood regret is washed away, the oath is turned into light, the heart of the village is eternal, open. The scroll exploded into a blue and gold vortex, soaring into the sky like fireworks on a summer night. The altar stone collapsed suddenly, and the last pulse of the black and red crystal core turned into ashes. The barrier glowed brightly, covering the whole village like a layer of blue gauze that would never fade. The shackles of time broke at that moment. There seemed to be a low echo in the air, as if the stream outside the village was finally flowing, without the haze that resets every day. The army of Warcraft hit the barrier at the edge, the howling sound receded like breaking waves, the tidal wind stopped, and the fog in the east of the village completely dissipated. Yajing's legs went weak, and she knelt down beside the broken monument. Yushi supported her, and the two looked at each other and smiled. It's done. The cycle is broken, this time it's really forever. Liu Feng strode forward, his beard trembling, and laughed, Yajing. You girl, you have become ours from an outsider. Savior. Thanks to you, the village tradition is reborn. He turned to the villagers and shouted, Everyone, the panic is gone, and we share the joy. Old hunter, guard the east side and strengthen it. Brother blacksmith, help me rebuild the altar and use your hammer to hammer out a new oath. The blacksmith wiped the sweat from his forehead, and the black light in his eyes disappeared. He lowered his head and apologized, Village Chief Liu, I have listened to the devil's whisper for too long, and I have been greedy for the false freedom. Yajing, your dismantling saved me, and now I smash the iron shield to repair the village's weaknesses. The old hunter drew back his bow and patted him on the shoulder, Zhuanmenjiang, the ancestral sin line is broken. Together, we guard this new village. The villagers came from the locust tree, led by Feng, who replaced the teapot with hot buns and distributed them to everyone. Sister. The circle is over. The last page of Dad's book confirms, after the crystal is broken, the village will open a different door and let the guardian choose the path. Her voice stopped and her eyes turned red. Yajing's heart tightened, and she looked back. Where Qinhao fell, the blue-gold light was still shining in the afterglow. Suddenly, a wave of light surged through him. He moved his body and slowly sat up. The sword was still in his hand, and the blood stains faded like mist. How's he? Yajing rushed over and helped him up. He grinned, his voice was hoarse but with a smile, Sister. I thought I was really dead this time. The force exerted by the scroll reversed the last moment. The team did not break up, your heroic leadership inspired me to survive. Sacrificing optimization, now I am a survivor, haha. Chen Hao rubbed his chest, stood firm, and patted Yajing's back. All the monsters outside have retreated, and the edge is as stable as iron. I will patrol around to confirm the resurrection. Feng breathed a sigh of relief and hugged Chen Hao's arm. Brother Hao, you are scary. Village legend says that when the cycle is broken, the loyal soul will be protected. Sister, your intuition is amazing. From the girl in the mist to the removal of the source, we have followed it all. She turned to Yajing and blinked. Hope is back. My parents' dreams will no longer be reset. I can plant new flowers. Life in the village, it's like celebrating the new year every day. Liu Feng nodded and organized everyone. Girl Feng, take the villagers into groups, repair the well, strengthen the barrier, and celebrate the new life. Yajing, Yushi, you two have been exposed. The evil crystal shows up through the blacksmith, and controls the greed of the village. From now on. As night falls, the village is brightly lit, like the moonlight of the mid-autumn festival filling the locust trees. Yajing and Yushi were sitting at the old site of the altar, their faces reflected in the blue light. Chen Hao came back from patrol and brought hot soup to share with everyone. The old hunter leaned against a tree and smoked his pipe. Liu Feng and Feng were directing the construction not far away. Yushi suddenly spoke, her voice soft but firm. Yajing, the cycle has been broken, I should share the complete past. The master is not a hermit from outside the village. He is the first awakened person. He tried to break the curse but was backlashed by the magic crystal twins. The remnant soul borrowed my blood and hid it. The secret of the origin curse made me think that I was part of the curse. When I came to the village, I hid it because I was afraid of dragging down the team. But your logic and courage have opened up my shadow. Now, I can freely teach magic to the village and help strengthen the barrier. Yajing held Yushi's hand and said with a smile, Partner, your mirrors join forces, from step by step to decisive battle, we are like a pas de deux in the village. It's okay to hide it, team bonding is to share the rift. Growing up, I grew up from the panic of modern girls, to be the guardian of another world, it all depends on you. A brief reflection surged in her heart. Logic is her intuitive weapon, but courage grows out of every crisis. The moment she pushed Yushi away, the roar that stopped Chen Hao's retreat, and the roar that united the village. From the loss of the strange call to the current perfection, she has changed and become a leader who can break the shackles of emotions. Liu Feng came over, the mud on his beard was dry. He sat down and said, Girls, the reconstruction plan has been decided. The blacksmith will lead the iron group, Chen Hao will guard the border, the old hunter will provide information, and I will share the tradition. Feng's clues in the heart of the village have become a new oath, and we will gather every day to talk about dreams to prevent the recurrence of greed. Yajing, your journey is complete, but the legend says, the gate will be open to the guardians, choose to go home or stay. What about you? Yajing looked at everyone, and Chen Hao grinned, Sister, the road is open, we will always remember your roar. Feng nodded, Sister, take the village story back and be our bridge. The old hunter hummed, when the door opens, we will answer. Yajing stood up, and the remaining power of the scroll gathered into a door of light in her palm, with blue and gold ripples like the moon reflected in a village stream. Her logic came to her mind, after solving the mystery, the door is the way back, but the memories will last forever. The door slowly opened, and the modern lights were faintly revealed. She turned around, hugged Yushi, and patted Liu Feng on the shoulder. Thank you, team. Logic and courage have allowed me to grow into a guardian, and your village has been reborn, and my heart is stable. Chen Hao, survive well, and guard the border and don't try again. Feng, hope is planted all over the village. Village Chief Liu, tradition borrows light forever. Yushi, sharing the past, dancing together in the future. Everyone laughed and waved. Yajing, go home. Another world is waiting for you again. She stepped into the light door, and the wind was as warm as a summer night in the village. When the door closed, the village lights turned on, singing began, and the village was forever reborn in the blue light. Yajing opened her eyes and was already in a modern room. The sound of cars outside the window was still the same as before, but the blue and gold in her heart would never fade. From a girl to a guardian, the journey of reincarnation was like a pot of old wine. The longer it tasted, the warmer it became. She smiled and opened the window. There seemed to be a faint village song in the night sky, and she felt like home.